Hey guys, welcome to episode 259 of 4 Player Anime Cast. I am your host, Spire, and with me are my compatriots, Nier,
What's up?
Toast,
Hello, it is I.
Nark,
Hi.
and we are just, right in the thick of this fall 2024 season. We still have, I think most series are right now in episode 5 or 6 or 7 ish. So we're just chugging right along. We're gonna pick some of the decent ones here out of the bag and just go on quickly. But yeah, let's go on to our 2 weeks, past 2 weeks, what we've been doing very briefly, starting again with Nier.
Mahjong. Got your shit. I picked up Jedi Survivor on PS5 recently, and I have a fuck out of that. That game's really fun. It's really good when it it's cool
What it
how
was.
games are good when they work, when they run.
When they don't break completely.
Yeah, and speaking of which, I also played the Monster Hunter Wilds beta, which doesn't work. And even when it does, it's not very good. I'm gonna be honest. Not a very good game.
What do you mean? How's the monster hunting?
Not very good. It kind of sucks. All the weapons kind of feel like shit. They fucked up all the sound effects. Every animation, as far as I can tell, is slower than it was in World. And the monsters
What?
are, yeah, yeah. And the monsters are really, really slow and unresponsive. So kind of just not a good game overall, I'd say. Regardless of the fact that runs like shit. Um, if for me, it didn't even load
I was gonna say, did
textures.
it turn into paper mache for you?
No, mine didn't get that bad, but like all the models work for me, but none of the textures do. Like everything is like fucking 52 by 52 fucking like pixel texture. It looks ass. It really like just dog shit. Um, but yeah, you know, not a great
Okay.
first impression for sure. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Okay, pretty good. Toast, what about you?
Happy Ween, y'all. Yeah,
True.
that
I
was
didn't ha-
there
I
wasn't.
didn't hand out candy, so
Why you jerk?
there's like no kids that come to my street, so
There. I
Yeah.
only got like I want to say less than 20. They only appear for like what 2 to 3 hours, so it's like there's not much to do. So I was like, whatever. I did eat all the Starburst though, so hooray for me.
nice.
Hot take: Starburst is a top 3 candy bar.
I agree. I
Candy?
agree.
Hell yeah. The
Starburst? Yeah, I agree too, actually.
gummies are good
Well,
too.
yeah, as long as we take out the watermelon stuff, because I'm not a big fan of watermelon flavor.
Watermelon?
Yikes! I've literally been tearing through sour watermelon packages last couple
Watermelon?
days.
Wait, watermelon Starburst? What are you talking about?
Are those the pink
Starbursts, right?
ones?
Yeah, the pink ones.
No,
What?
pink is pink only.
Strawberry, dude.
Oh
Or is it
really?
strawberry?
No,
I thought it
there
was
are
pink only.
watermelon Starbursts.
The gummies?
I
Like,
don't.
are you talking about the
Yeah, the
gummies?
gummies.
I never really
Okay,
thought
Yeah.
about
fine,
like
fair.
what.
The gummies, yeah.
I've
Gummies
honestly
are
never really
whatever.
thought about what flavor they even.
I
I've
prefer
never
the
had
OG
Starburst
strawberry
gummies.
though.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
fucking the little squares.
Yeah.
I think tangerine is still the best flavor.
The orange
I like most
ones?
of them that are
The
just like
like light
citrusy.
orange,
Yeah.
not the like orange
Like
orange.
a lemon of the original, the lemon is the worst one, but it's still pretty
Def-
good.
Yeah, not bad though.
Well,
Anything else?
you guys ready
Okay.
in 5 days?
4.
Four.
Didn't you hear? He's about to complete Aincrad.
No.
What's in 5 days?
No.
This. It's this year, my dudes. He's gonna do
Sword
it.
Art Online has announced a countdown stream exact moment Kirito cleared the game.
Just fuck
Wow.
off.
Dude, it's been that long.
Whoa, dude.
Dude, it's
So
been that
cool,
long.
dude.
You think it was what, 12, 13 years ago?
Yeah.
God damn
Remember,
it.
this was the beginning of the new era of anime.
Dude, we are,
I'm so-
and gotta tell you, we are on the cusp of full dive gaming.
True.
They got the years right and everything.
Got the AI powered smell machines and everything.
I mean, VR chat is. Has anyone made Aincrad in VR chat yet? I believe. I want to believe they have.
I would
sure
be
there's somebody
shocked if
autistic
they
enough to do
haven't.
it.
Like,
Somebody probably might have, but it's also like it's not like a Minecraft situation, right? Where there's a lot of standard ways to kind of just crank the lever and just kind of push out what it
They've
looks like,
probably made.
right?
They probably made SAO in Minecraft
I mean,
anyway.
I'm sure
So
they made.
Minecraft is basically a world seed at this thing.
I'm sure in VR chat there's probably like maps for it. As far as like game wise, probably not, unless like
Mm.
anyone's ever. I don't know. I can't even speak on that. I haven't played VR chat in like 4 years. But VR chat's original game limitation was pretty tight. You could like remake Doom. About it.
All I remember from VR chat is the Kamen Rider stuff. That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Else?
pretty good then. Anything else?
I haven't gone to round 1 yet. I'm waiting.
I'm not
round one
going to
bowling.
round one.
I mean, I haven't been in like 2 months. I'll go in a bit. Are you buying tickets?
Okay. What?
You buying tickets? You should think about it.
Am I buying tickets to the auto? What to what?
Yeah.
Oh, I
I don't.
am actually seriously thinking about it, but
I don't know why you
I'm
thought it would be $500. Just like it's gonna be 70 to 90 if you include probably Ticketmaster price, which is about the same as last time.
Depends how hard they get scalped.
I mean, that's why you have to get your the Crunchyroll pre-sale.
Lol.
That's how I got mine for cheap. Because I'm definitely not paying 1,200 like some other people did in line. So you should consider it, Spire.
okay. No, I am actually seriously thinking about it,
Don't
but
worry,
yeah.
I'll wake you up. I got you.
Thanks. Okay. What about you, Dark?
Question. Been playing. Well, hey, been playing some Overwatch with Nier. That's been going really well. We've been
Fun
having
as
a
always.
really good time.
Yeah.
Definitely didn't get the angriest I've gotten at a game in like, I don't know, probably like fucking 2 years at this point.
That's
Like,
magical Overwatch, baby.
I tilted so hard the other day. It was like kind of unreal. I was like, wow, this is what it's all coming back to me.
Yeah.
It's like I'll tilt at games today, but like I'll kind of like know when to like cut myself off immediately and just be like, no, like this is ridiculous. Like I'm getting too angry, or like I'm hamming it up too much. But then Overwatch the other day, I got genuinely like just really mad. So there was that. But then other than that, I'm playing a lot of I'm playing some PSO2 still. Some Zenless still. Kind of like trying to keep up a little
How
bit
was
with that, but I've been
the
slacking.
how was the Nikkei anniversary? That was a thing.
I was getting to that. I've been doing the Nikkei
alright.
anniversary recently. That is
It's pretty
good.
cool.
That is fun. It's a finally some fucking food moment for me because like I've been really just super maintenance, if not like only logging in like every couple of days or every like several days for Nikkei, and like not actually even doing anything half the time, kind of just doing like the thing that just gives you resources and just collecting that for several months now, just because like I just like I don't know, none of the side stories were really grabbing me very much. None of the characters they introduced were really grabbing me. Like the designs were decent, but like I wasn't like, man, I really want to see this story. But for the anniversary, they are doing more of the more pilgrims, which are the very important characters.
Mhm.
And the new pilgrims are very cool. So I was pretty excited, and the story is neat.
Yeah, pretty good.
They
I think
also
they're
added a
running
whole
out.
ass. They added a whole ass 2D platformer into the fucking game.
Yeah, that's
So
also true. It's very, very odd
yeah,
mini game,
Yeah.
quote unquote, that they've
yeah.
added.
Is it a
But yeah,
permanent one?
it's been fun. It'll probably get thrown into the side
Yeah,
games thing
they
that they
have like
have.
a arcade where they add all the mini games
Yeah, because I
for a
think you
while.
could still play the Dave the Diver one, right?
Yeah, and I think they recently added the tower defense that was up during the Crown event.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Okay,
Now,
cool.
when are they gonna add the 3D studio thing that Azur Lane has?
What is
Well, Nikkei
that?
doesn't have 3D models, so
Yeah, they only have the little chibis.
Azur Lane, like I talked about a while ago, Azur Lane recently has a 3D home studio thing, and the first one is Sirius, and then Nagano is upcoming. Is it Nagano?
Oh, so they're rolling it out slowly?
Yeah. So they're slowly rolling out each girl. Is it Nagano?
Yeah, they're
Who was it?
never gonna do that. Because
And not enough money.
dude, they have 100 fucking characters. And they
Azur
keep
Lane has
adding
what 300
dozens
plus.
every
So
patch that aren't playable.
and
So
I'm sorry, it's not Nagano, it's Noshiro. Because they teased their 3D studio with what was it with the New Jersey and Enterprise thing. But yeah, they have Nagano, Noshiro. Noshiro's pretty cool.
I would be surprised. I yeah, unless they
It
do
blows up
a
my
preview of the guns, because the guns do have 3D models
it blows up
for
my
the
phone
most
though.
part.
So yeah,
But yeah, that's been cool. The new unit that's out right now, Cinderella, is very fun. I have a shitload of the you get to just select the character tickets that I've been saving up for a very long time, because Nikkei is fairly generous with rolls and with those. So
I spent on mine.
what the hell did you spend yours on?
I spent all of them on the Evangelion characters.
oh yeah, fair.
Oh yeah, true, yeah. Well, I mean, I guess to be fair, those are also limited, so you
Yeah.
know.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I got that. Cinderella's cool. She is unlike, I think, any other rocket launcher character, because normally the rocket launcher type characters are you charge up and then you release. But for her, you charge up and you keep holding. And yeah, she shoots big laser beams at enemies that track. So she has a cool, unique UI.
Technically,
And a cool character.
Laplace's burst is like that, so
Yeah, but this isn't burst. But yeah, so
Okay.
it's interesting, and it's actually more of a machine gun slash volley thing. So
yeah.
but yeah, so that's been fun. That's been cool. And then other than that, I've been playing a lot of World of Warcraft.
Nice.
Because new patch came out and the anniversary's up, and that's been very fun.
Wasn't there
Excitingly, they announced the battle royale's coming back in January. So
wasn't
I'm
there
excited.
a $300 mount or something? What am I thinking of?
No, there was a $90 amount which I bought.
Okay.
That was actually an improved version of a mount that cost the equivalent at the time if you swiped to buy gold. The gold cost for it was 2 million, which I think came out to $475
Hell
at
yeah.
one point. And so it was basically if you were not someone who played the auction house, you were not getting that mount. And then they took it away. And the special thing about that mount was that you could get the auction house on it, mobile. So wherever you were, you could just pull up an auction house. And then this one that they sold, you get an auction house and a mailbox. So you literally can buy stuff from the auction house, which goes to your mail, and then pick it up all on one mount. And it is phenomenal. It will likely get put in the like monthly currency shop for a high amount of the monthly currency that you get just from like doing events. It's basically like a battle pass. But people are very angry. And I'm sure they will get angry again if they spent $90 and it goes into the free store. I won't, because I think it's cool and the game's fun. So, yeah. Oh yeah, and then other than that, they also had a charity donation thing for the new what do you call it? The documentary that came out for this kid who had like muscular dystrophy. And then his parents found out that he had like a whole online like connection with people, like hundreds of people, in like an RP guild and server. So they did a cool machinima documentary about that, which I am not strong enough to watch yet. So yeah, I mean, I saw immediately, I saw like Brendan tweeting out like that he was like, yeah, no, you will basically cry the whole movie. So
Where are
that's
the proceeds
fun.
going to?
The proceeds go to I want to say it's a Norwegian medical charity that specifically researches like funds like muscular dystrophy research. So
All right.
it's a
Always
good
make
cause.
sure you know where the money goes to.
Yeah, and 100% of the proceeds go towards it, and you get a cool backpack and a cool pet. Yeah, that's been a blast.
Yeah, I do want to move on, but thank you very much, Dark,
This guy hates
for
muscular
2 weeks.
dystrophy.
Yeah.
I do.
I guess my 2 weeks pretty quiet for the most part. Again, real life, running around, just doing whatever. This morning I did, because it was all over my feed on YouTube and stuff like that. I did end up catching League Worlds Finals, and I'm glad to see that T1 SKT T1 won.
Did anyone
But
give
other than
themselves a
that,
concussion after?
yeah. But other than that, it was pretty boring 2 weeks for the most part. So it's been pretty quiet. I'm thinking about maybe. I want to pick up an FPS recently. I've been thinking mainly just doing like Quick Live or something, but I need to get a proper mouse and mouse pad again. So that's annoying. So
Pick up Call of Duty Black Ops 6.
God. I've been seeing some streams of that.
Fortnite, dude.
Yeah, Fortnite.
That's not an
Yeah.
FPS yet.
If it's a building
They haven't
game.
added the FPS game yet.
Yeah.
No, we play zero build here, Spire. Okay,
True. We're not gay.
Yeah.
or
Anyway.
12.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was about it for my 2 weeks. And I guess with that, I do want to move on to our first series, which is Dark. What do you have for us?
I have a little series called. Let me see if I can do this. Yarinaoshi Reijou wa Ryuutei Heika wo
Kouryakuchuu.
Kouryakuchuu? Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
Kouryakuchuu. But yeah,
roughly
also
translated
Wajutsushi.
to
yeah, so
the
long.
do-over Damsel conquers the Dragon Emperor. Yeah, and this was the problematic age gap series that we were looking at in the previews. Because this is about a like princess named Jill Savelle, fiance of the Crown Prince Gerald de. Okay, they fucking mistranslated this. Awesome on Mal. That's great. Gerald de Kratos. And she is the yes, because she is the lady god, the lady god of war. And so
Isn't the lady
show,
god of war Athena?
technically, Isn't she also? Isn't I think Athena's also like politics. Um.
Or I don't know, Freya. You
Anyway,
could say Freya, but whatever. That's a different mythology.
and so what winds up happening is her current fiance Gerald betrays her and winds up hunting her down. And the show opens with her being killed. Or basically like about to meet her end, and then like the clock literally turns backwards. And so then she wakes up and finds herself back in her body at here. It literally never, as far as I am aware, says how old she is in the show. It just specifies that she is, I think, to say below the age of 14, something like that. Because they're like, oh yeah, because they're all like, oh, you get like
Is that
engaged
marriable
before
age or
you're
not in the feudal
yes,
ages?
it is.
The
Like
real
it is
question.
literally like yeah,
Okay.
like they're getting like shipped off before their 14th birthday. Is the specification. But yeah, so it does the whole like, not villainous, but the whole like rewind type deal where she's like, "Oh man, I don't want to meet my doom again." And so in order to change the outcome of getting hunted down by her fiance, who also they describe like this is a bit of a minor detail, but one of the reasons he hunts her down is he is a fucking like they find out like she found out that he is actually in a relationship with his sister. So we've got that going on.
It's cool.
And she winds up trying to go call off their engagement, or rather sabotage their upcoming engagement, because she knows like, oh, at this party, like I'm gonna get engaged to this person, by stating like haphazardly, no, I'm not engaged to you. I actually fell for this guy right here. And she turns around and realizes it is this guy Rave, who is
the Dragon Emperor.
yes, the Dragon Emperor from the
A
Hades
very tiny
Nation.
novel. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Of
he
the
is the
heavens?
yeah,
Is he
so
of
he
the
is the
heavenly
no,
lightning?
not quite. So they play it off more so with like Western fantasy thing of like he can speak to like these Western dragons, like the Western style like dragons. He has dragon blood effectively, and he is the only one that can see the dragon god, which is the little chibi dragon, Rave, and like only him and Jill can see that. And so Jill winds up realizing she kind of put herself in an even tougher position because the Dragon Emperor that she knew was a like ruthless tyrant that was going around killing anyone who opposed him, so on and so forth. But wouldn't you know it, when she goes back to, I forget exactly what the port's name is, but it's like a small town part of the larger like empire that he's overseeing. And she winds up finding out about like his whole tragic backstory. He is effectively cursed to be emperor. Anyone who tries to be emperor aside from him, including all of his siblings who tried to be prior to him, mysteriously died. So basically, like, it is literally like he became emperor because everyone kept dying, and they were like, well, I guess he has to be emperor due to the prophecy or whatever. So people are not too keen on him. But anyway, this winds up turning into a like do-over story. But I think what's been nice is it hasn't been a direct do-over like, say, Tear Moon Kingdom was. Where Tear Moon Kingdom was like, this is a do-over story, but she was like, oh, I'm gonna do everything right this time. But instead, what's happening here is that she put herself in a completely different situation. So she doesn't actually really know what's going to happen. Like, she knows a lot of people. that she wants to avoid them like dying, things like that, friends and whatnot, and servants. And she does have like rumors of things that happened in this opposing nation that she's now in, that she has to work off of and try and like work out what actually happened based on these rumors, and like what's
So
currently happening to her.
this is more like a I don't want to say like soap opera kind of thing, but it's more like a personal drama kind of interpersonal drama kind of thing, and less um statecraft
It,
stuff, right?
it's a little bit. It's a little bit of that. It's a little bit of statecraft. You know, there's obviously like there's the Marquis that like betrays the Emperor, and then they get into like open conflict. And you know, Jill has him like spare his life by like effectively like turning him into a pawn, so on and so forth. Same thing with like the enemy soldiers that invaded. Um, and there is a decent amount of action, decent amount of like suspense with those sorts of things. And the sort of surrounding thing is light comedy with like Rave being a like, what would you call it? Almost like doting brother, doting sibling type situation. And yeah, it's just kind of like the two of them sort of being like the blushing, awkward, I don't know, I don't really know what you would call that, very like mushy type thing, while also not admitting, well, Jill like not really admitting that she's in love with him at all. More so of like trying to set this up as a sort of proposal slash marriage of necessity or of convenience. Whereas he wants to have like a partner who is eventually in love with him. But it is very clear that they both do like each other. And it's only really a matter
It
of
is
time
not
before that comes to a head.
yeah,
So it's
so
kind of a
is this
blend of a
like
lot of things, realistically.
it's a is a stage of the romantic relationship, the way it's portrayed and the way it's staged and progressed, is it like oh, I think we're okay with each other, and then they grow used to each other, and then they fall in love, or do they just like each other and it's just like whatever? And then that sort of like subplot is kind of put as a side stream, and it's like, oh, we have this romantic relationship, while a lot of the other stimuli comes from the whole again this drama and statecraft stuff. Like, what is the status of
It
that
is definitely more
romantic
of the
relationship?
former. Like I said,
Okay.
the Emperor is very much like he's very much want like dotes on her, like bakes her sweets. The setup they're going for is more so of like, you know, the literally in a scene the like bad boy but who's like a puppy essentially. And he acts like evil out of necessity. To get people under control. Granted, the idea is like to get him to sort of reform or to like see an alternative way to rule. While also Jill obviously saving herself. And then the sort of more political intrigue and the like actual like physical conflict turns into almost like a not really like a buddy cop situation, but like a like duo situation, like where they are more like partners. Because that is one thing I didn't mention. Jill is insanely powerful, and insanely strong with magic, and uses it to like bolster herself physically. So you know she like literally throws like a boat into port at one point, and that's also because you know she has prior knowledge of her life and like all of the magic skills that she had attained during it. And then trained herself as well before, you know, before her like timeline really caught up, becoming problematic again. So yeah, there's a lot of that. The romance is definitely lighter because of that as well, because of like, you know, they're not really trying to push it to be a full-fledged romance, I feel, just yet. I mean, obviously,
So,
like they
but the
literally do
focus.
bring up the age gap multiple times and are just like, yeah, we're not gonna like, you know, we're not taking this like super seriously, obviously, until you know you are conveniently of modern age, of
So
contemporary
is the
legality.
core plot then the political intrigue surrounding the main character, and then they're gonna round it up at the end with, smatterings of using the romantic relationship to help resolve matters. Is that sort of how the core structure is, or
A
what is
little
the
bit,
particular
because because like
motivating force?
one of the main cruxes is that the curse that the emperor's fallen under is literally because of the two opposing gods of their nation. They like fell in love with each other as like the gods, and then they
Yeah.
like broke up, whatnot. And since he is like has dragon blood, obviously like the goddess of Kratos like was none too happy about that. But since she is an heir of like the nation of Kratos, them being together effectively neutralizes the curse, allegedly. And obviously that helps Jill too, because it means that she is relatively protected, of a protected status. So, her old fiance can't get to her easily. Um, and yeah, I think that is really where a lot of the political intrigue is coming in, is going to be of Jill reforming him to be not like a bloody tyrant, and then also avoiding her like other fiance, or her like past life fiance, and anything really to do with him. She's like
Mhm.
saved some people, based on, like I said, based on like the rumors she had heard from the nation she's in. And yeah, I think that's been probably the more enjoyable part about this, over say like the other sort of like redo things, like redo series like that, just because it's a little bit, she's not coming in with perfect knowledge of how to resolve a situation. She still does have to effectively like, think about what was hearsay, what was a misinterpretation, like a game of telephone, basically, that went over to her nation in her original life, and how to work around it. And also what's changed since she's in a completely different situation now, right? Like, in her past life,
She's
she did not
the
meet
yeah.
the Emperor. Like, she only met him when he was like a bloody tyrant and was fighting him.
Right. Right. Okay, okay. But yeah, it's like the interesting, so this is not the first, nor will it be the last series to have this sort of um bend on the otome game isekai kind of like series, but it's like they do this where they die and then it goes back in time, right? There's been, I think, one or two other series like this, similar to this, but
Yeah. Like I said,
the
especially recently was Tier Moon Kingdom.
yes, yes, or no, there's another one that's like a villain. It's like the villainous, right? It was a
Yeah,
villainous
the
series, and
villainous
then she
retry
dies
as
and goes back.
well.
Yeah, 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 yeah. The
Yeah.
princess one or whatever. Yeah, but the idea is that, or rather, one of the interesting points of this is that usually when you get these isekai or isekai likes, what happens is the demon king or the Japanese person reincarnates, and because they're Japanese, a glorious Nippongonese person, Japanese person, or they're the previous demon lord, they have all this knowledge, and some of it inevitably becomes this power fantasy. But it is less like that in this variant because they're usually not some omnipotent being or omniscient being or some futuristic Japanese being compared to the feudal culture. They're just the same person but 6 years behind or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's a good limiting factor in these sorts of structures, which is
Yeah,
nice.
it like, cuz obviously like I said, like she is still like god tier powerful, like very very strong,
Mhm.
as is the emperor. Um
Yeah.
but, politically and like to resolve situations properly, like she still does have to think things through of like, if I take this course of action, like what will that lead to? Like, what will that trickle down into? Um
Mhm.
and like meeting people that she has really only heard about,
Mhm.
and happenings on with them, and like I said, to figure out like which was hearsay, which was true, based on like how she's interacting with them.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's pretty fun, pretty enjoyable because of that. breaks it up a bit.
So, can you tell us a little bit about the audio visuals here?
Yeah, so what I had not mentioned was this is a light novel original from JC Staff.
Mm.
And this is one of
Right,
many
that's what
JC
you
Staff
have here.
series.
Mhm. Yes, this is
And
like one of
so
5 this season, which is silly.
yeah, so what's crazy is this is one of 5 like originals this season. If you count up the total series like
This is original?
continuations,
Wait, no, you said this was light novel.
I mean
Excuse me. Yeah.
I mean as far as like, you know,
Adaptations.
airing,
Yeah,
new
yeah,
airing,
yeah,
like
yeah,
not
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah,
non-sequel
yeah, yeah,
rather.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
the
yeah,
crazy thing is, if you add all of that up, JC Staff has like 10 concurrent series like running right now.
yeah.
Like it's absurd.
Yeah.
Um,
Even with like a billion subcontractors, it's just too much.
yeah,
It's too much.
that's like
Yeah.
wild. But I will say this is definitely one of the better JC Staff looking series in general, and this season. It doesn't have like the most intensely animated action scenes and whatnot like all the time. But what's there is pretty solid, and the actual just general audio visuals themselves, I think, are also just pretty nice. Just baseline. So I've been enjoying that. It does a lot of interestingly like thicker lines for the characters in a lot of scenes.
Mhm.
As opposed to like the way a lot of the backgrounds are rendered. It does not use very much CG, which is nice.
Oh, okay.
And trying to think. Other than that, yeah, like I said, it's very interesting how they do the much thicker lines for the characters. It was not really what I was expecting. The title, this like the promo art does look like it, obviously, but it doesn't really capture that aspect of it. I feel it's
Yeah,
not really
yeah, yeah.
reflected here. But yeah, it looks nice. Its comedy parts are very subtle, but does even like thicker lines, almost like I forget which I think like yeah, kind of like the way Bungo Stray Dogs renders characters in that sometimes. If you had ever seen that. But overall, I would say it's it's very solid.
Okay. Can you give me well, how about the OPED here?
Pretty good looking, but overall like standard. Nothing really special about it, but also it's not like a bad OP either. You know, it does its job. It's nothing really stand out. Um, but that's more than can be said about some other JC Staff OPs. So, you know, I'll take what I can get. It is nice to see, you know, a show that is very clearly a JC Staff show. Like you can kind of see it in the way like the faces are rendered, and the eyes especially. That oh yeah, like this is JC Staff. You know, it kind of at times looks like, you know, Raildex characters even. Um, same like stylistically.
Oh, okay.
But it is very shiny. Is the thing that's
That
quite
also doesn't
nice.
show as much in the poster art and like the promotionals, to be honest.
No.
Yeah.
Now there are definitely scenes and episodes where like you can tell like oh okay like yeah this is just like a uh shinier version of that.
Right,
But yeah,
right.
definitely more enjoyable than I would have expected. I think if you like a sort of dynamic of, you know, the evil guy being misunderstood and being like the doter cutesier character,
Mm.
I think you'll get a kick out of this. And I think you'll enjoy it quite a bit. And yeah, I think
Okay.
there's really not that much else to say about it. Music, like audio wise, is fine. Like nothing crazy, nothing awful either though.
Mhm.
Definitely, like I said, more than you would normally expect from a JC Staff series, and pretty impressive considering how much they have under their belt.
Yeah, exactly. So how thinly they're spread right now, to be honest.
Yeah.
What rating would you give this series?
My mall rating, I would say this is like a fair 7.5, you know.
Okay. Okay. Pretty good.
I don't think it's like, amazing. But if this is something that you like, if these sorts of character dynamics are something that you think you could enjoy, or you have enjoyed in the past, then this is, I think, definitely something worth checking out.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thank you very much, Dark. Again, this is YariRyuu, also known as, which is short for Yarinaoshi Reijou wa Ryuutei Heika or Kouryakuchuu, also known as the Do-Over Damsel Conquers the Dragon Emperor. So yeah, this is a one of these more uncommon variants of the current isekai otome game villainous-ish kind of genre, the subculture that's been subgenre that's been developing over the years. I do like this variant of it. I obviously Dark did like this story as well. It is an interesting variant, and I'm glad that it turned out pretty decent for what it was, and it's not just following along the same lines as some of the other Ultimate Game villainous series that we've covered in the past couple of seasons. So,
Yeah, I will say if you're
th-
tired of a
yeah,
lot of those, then this is also another reason to if you like the things like of that nature, but you're like kind of tired of the current
yeah,
sort of formula,
yeah,
this does break it up a decent amount.
yep. All right. Thank you very much, Dark. And now we move on to Toast. What do you have for us?
He's dead.
Yeah, it's over.
There we go. What do I got?
Yeah, why
Nice.
don't you talk to us about it?
Yeah.
Talk to her.
Nice.
Very nice.
Talk to her. Nice.
Yeah, why don't
Have
you
you guys
guys
listened to
get
that person's
to
podcast?
the polls on Tuesday? What?
God
True.
damn it. Do you want me to say the title here? Because it is a
Yeah,
little bit
because the
long
show
here.
sucked.
Yeah. So this is the most notorious hawker, quote unquote, runs the world's greatest clan, also known as Saikyou no Shienshoku Wajutsushi である。俺は最強す、あ、sorry. 最強の支援職話術師である俺は世界最強クランを従える。This is a Naruto isekai, I believe, or isekai-like, whatever, series. I apologize to all the people out there who are like, technically, this is not really an isekai, blah blah. But um, but yeah, this is the Talker Isekai series. Um, I guess being done by Felix Films, I believe, is the studio. But yeah, it got
Yeah.
adapted into anime recently.
Felix Film. I picked this one because Felix Films also did the Maid one, so I was like, all right, two and one. Why not?
Okay.
Because I like my symmetry. Yeah.
Mhm.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, what's the series about?
So
How's
a
it goes
series is
here?
about this dude. His name's main character's name is Noel Stolen. Yeah.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
The only other stolen name is Forte Stolen, but that's a deep cut. If you know who that is, then you're cool. Do you guys know who that is?
Fucking clue.
What?
No.
Forte Stolen? Wow,
I don't
you
think
guys
so.
suck. The deep cut is that's from Galaxy Angel.
Oh.
Yeah. Shit, what was this series
Uh,
about? So this dude. So there's monsters. When what is it? When the magical energy gets too high in the world, creates a bubble, and the abyss appears, and monsters come out of the abyss. And one, I guess, one appeared in Noel Stolen's hometown. Yeah, and
okay.
his grandfather, is it Brandon? Is that his name?
His grandfather. His grandfather
His
is.
grandfather is is it Brandon Stolen? I think it's Brandon, right? Whatever.
His grandfather, whatever, it doesn't matter.
It's his
Keep going.
grandfather, who's the nicknamed Over Death.
Wow.
I don't know what that means.
It means you're so good at killing, you're so cool that you're overing it. You're
I
over
guess it was because he doesn't die. He never died. Sure, but I
Okay.
get. But a
What?
spoiler, he did die.
Oh shit. Now he's under death.
Yeah, because yeah. Where am I going with this? Oh yeah, his city or his town got attacked by the abyss, and his grandfather,
Yeah.
the Over Death, defended the city, and he died defending the city.
Okay.
Yeah, and because of that, he wanted to become the most powerful seeker because his grandfather Over Death was the one of the most powerful seekers in the world, and they
So he wants
call
to
it
chase after
seeker
his
because
grandfather, right? Yep. Okay.
I guess it's like a blanket term for adventurer,
Yeah.
maybe.
It's just Seeker is just an adventure. Yeah.
Yeah, because a seeker is literally someone who searches for things for a living. Yes, that's a quote by
True.
Noel Stolen.
But
Seeker
yeah.
what
seek.
happens with Noel?
So yeah, once he took his seeker aptitude test, he came back.
Yes.
His job class is a talker or Wajutsushi, which literally means magic talking guy, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know
What does he
talk no
talk about?
jutsu, I guess. Yeah. So he's basically he says stuff and he buffs your party. But the
That's
thing
Bard.
is, but like
Wait,
the
so
thing
is this
the
thing
thing about
yeah,
what
is the talker an actually like a bardic kind of job, or is it just literally he's good at convincing people?
No, dude,
Like,
he's just fucking Sensei from Blue Archive, where he's like a fucking
Yes.
strategist, right? Like,
yeah. Okay.
Oh, he's
and
not
his
like a speech. He's not like a speech 100 guy.
he can. It
Charisma,
basically
charisma. Yeah.
he's got a bunch of skills that involve like yelling at stuff, I
wow.
guess. Like
Wait, yelling at like inanimate objects, or is he just like does he have persuasion like 100? Which one is it? Is it like an
he
actual
has
bardic thing, or is he able to randomly persuade people?
yes, to both. He's got this skill called tactician where
Okay.
he gives his party orders and it strengthens them by 25%.
Oh,
And
okay, good.
Wow.
So he
and
has bardic skills and he has like persuasion skills. Okay, I got
and he has what battle
I got
voice, which basically buffs like HP regen. That's cool.
I think honestly this is a good set
But he
because
has a
at
WoW raid
first
buff.
yeah.
Sure.
Because when we first heard about this in the news,
Wait, I
right?
forget. This one's not a game, right? Like, this
No,
isn't a video game setting.
No, this is an actual isekai like where it's
So
just
So
stupid, dude.
stupid.
It's so dumb, but
Could
but it's just like
near.
it's like
you
ah,
imagine? Can you
yes, I
imagine
have
if in
this
Lord,
skill in
imagine
real
in
life
Lord
that
of the
makes you do
Rings?
25% more damage. Like, what the fuck are you
yeah.
talking about?
But Near,
Could you
don't you like the
imagine
skill
if
Near, what about the skill peer support, which strengthens your mental fortitude? So I guess
Wow. So
yeah,
what? So what? Like, just being there for your friend? Like,
pretty much.
awesome.
But
Great
Near, if they're
skill.
placed under the fear status, you use the skill peer support, and suddenly you don't fear anything anymore.
Yeah.
I think his most useful one is his most useful ones is stun howl, which is he yells at people and it paralyzes them,
Wow.
and
That's a Skyrim skill.
yeah, and then he's got another skill he uses called
he got the
confess,
voice?
which is basically mind control, and it makes them tell the truth about things.
Okay.
Wow.
Wow.
That's crazy.
So he essentially can do whatever the fuck he wants. It's like but
Sure.
I mean I
He's
think
also
honestly
got what is it telepathy with the skill link, so
I
he
have a
can
question
talk
though.
to
oh my
his party
god.
members.
What kind of series is this? Is this like a comedy? Is
No,
this an
Are you
that's the
action?
other
wondering
Is
if
this
two
like a
this is
series.
like a
serious
redo of Healer?
action?
Yes,
Like a
it
redo of
seems
Healer
like a
kind of shit?
serious like power fantasy thing, right?
It's dark, edgy
It's
Yeah.
so fucking
power
So
fantasy.
it's
stupid.
redo of Healer.
Yeah,
It's
the
redo of
only thing I
Healer.
want to say
Yeah.
about this is like I forgive series for doing this like world setting as just basically being a fucking, isekai / game type
I
thing.
don't.
I
I don't.
forgive it if it's like a comedy or something, or
I don't.
like a slice of life bullshit thing. Like, but the fact that like they're like, yeah, guys, this is a serious action series, or just an action series in general. It's like, come on, really?
If you wanted
Make a
comedy,
fantasy
there's the
world.
you have two other isekais. There's the Bochi one. What is it? I don't the Bochi isekai.
I mean, it's not like I
Also
want it. I'm just saying, as far as like world building goes, it's like,
also
goddamn, man.
what is it? Grieving Soul. That's the other. That's
Let this
this one
grieving
is
soul
comedy.
retire or whatever.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
also a comedy. But this one, no, it's edgy because
What I honestly, I actually think, well, I'm not saying I would necessarily give this an overall positive review, but what I'm saying is that when we first saw this in the news, we we all thought that it was just going to be absolute just dumpster fire. What the heck is this premise? This is the dumbest crap I've ever heard in my life, kind of business, right?
I still do, to be
But
fair.
yeah,
Yeah, it doesn't
but when
sound
I
like we
heard
were off the mark from what Toast is telling us and
Well,
his
what
own
I'm saying is
reaction.
that what from what I'm hearing about Toast in terms of his powers, at least it makes slightly more sense or is slightly less cheesy than him just having talking and persuasion skills. Because what I thought it would have been was he just has pure persuasion 100 and he just uses that to do stupid stuff and maybe he has like the mind control stuff, but he actually is a more standard bardic set of skills, which makes more sense than him being like, I talk very good. I persuade people very well. It's like, which would be very just, especially in a world filled full of supernatural powers. It just seems like a very cheesy thing to do. It seems way too power. It seems honestly more power fantasy and cheesy and self insert than him just being like, "Yeah, I have bardic skills. I can power people up and stuff occasionally." So I think this is a slightly more quote unquote boring setup, so to say. But I think it's better than him legit being the "Yeah, I talk very good" kind of setup, in my opinion.
are you
So
sure about that, Spire? Because remember, Talker is
I'm
the
pretty
weakest
sure.
class, but since he wants to become the strongest
Yeah,
seeker,
but it's
but
really
the
it's like one of those
They're
series where it's
always the
like
weakest class, where it's like the weakest class is able to annihilate literally anything in its path by blinking.
yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
what? Okay, what does the strongest class do then? Like, fuck, man.
Yeah, because it's like the honestly, when an isekai series has one of those premises where it's just honestly, if the premise was just him having persuasion 100 and him doing all these cheesy, yeah, I I I convince people real well kind of business, it would be somewhat similar, in my opinion, to the structures of one of those farming isekai where where the main character just takes his regular farming powers and he like starts beating up on people, and it would be kind of like that, which I don't really like, because essentially what the author is doing in that situation is just trying to quote unquote make a unique premise by making a super whack weak power, but then with that weak power the author tries to unreasonably force it upon a very standard high fantasy, power fantasy setting, just with those skills being used in wanton, silly ways, right? So I actually don't like that as much as I do just a standard setup where it makes sense that this much power can be used in these ways in this like D&D kind of dungeon crawler setting. I don't like those premises where the character's like, yeah, my power is making snails appear out of thin air, and then he has to go and do all these isekai adventures just as if he was a regular human being. I'm not a huge fan of honestly how that plays out or has played out in various isekai anime series.
That would be a
So
pretty awesome power, though. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, it'd be like what it's Tsunade in
Yeah, but
Naruto, right? The with the
Yeah,
snail, yeah.
true.
they would just be like, but also if the snail touches anyone, they die.
Yeah,
I
dude.
mean,
It's like
or
the
or
it's like the it's
yeah,
like
it's
the
like the
immortal
hypothetical.
snail.
The immortal
Yeah,
snail that's
dude.
yeah,
always following you, and if it
Yeah,
touches you,
no,
you die.
or it's like one of those. It's like the slime isekai series, not the slime tensei stuff, but the one where it's like slime tamer. But it's like the snail grows bigger and bigger and bigger with every level up,
Dude, that'd be
and
sick.
eventually you just
That
have
would
like
be
a steady size snail.
that'd be kind of fire, honestly.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I think honestly, from what Toast has been telling me, I'm not saying again, I'm not saying this is wow, this is the best thing. I think this is a better premise right now, from what I'm hearing, than what we imagined from the initial announcement, is how I'll say. But yeah. Anyway, sorry for the tangent. Please do go on, Toast.
you like your 5-minute rant about talking Spire? Look at this guy. He's got
Hey
talker
man, I
skills too.
complimented the series. I'm complimenting the series. I didn't say I didn't insult the series at all. So
So in order to compensate for having just talking skills, he's
yeah.
been trained, what is it, two
To
years
talk.
by his grandfather to develop combat skills because his grandfather was a warrior. He's also so he's got basic hand-to-hand combat. But
Mhm.
against actual people with skills, he'd die. But don't worry, he also has a gun, a magic gun that fires magic bullets.
Yeah, I
So
was gonna ask
he's
you
there
about that.
too.
Why does he have just like a regular gun?
It's a magic gun. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, but this isn't an isekai, so like, how does he have like
It's
just a gun?
it's a magic gun. It's one of the only weapons he can use because he's the weakest
So they just have
class.
like regular guns in that world, like.
It shoots. He's been shooting what, fire and ice bullets, and then he said,
I,
"Oh no, I only have this many shots left." But he's never seen reloading them, so it's like, sure, He's basically got unlimited magic for convenience with that gun.
I just
So
don't get
whatever.
why it's a gun or a regular gun in a fantasy world. Like,
Because he's
do
also
other
got a
people have
knife.
guns?
Maybe. I don't know. We I it's I'm 5 episodes in. I haven't encountered any other gun classes yet. But he's got a gun and a knife. That
does
should
anybody
tell
else
you
have a gun?
all.
Like gun class aside, does anybody else have a gun?
All. No.
Just
Yeah,
him
see,
Oh,
that's
with
why
a
it
raw
doesn't make
he's
sense to
shotgun.
me. So I like visually, I thought this series was like a MMO or something because it's like
Mhm.
here's like a weird like here's like a fantasy world thing. Also, this guy just has like a fucking cult. Like, oh, what?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it's supposed to be a self-defense tool that any commoner can use, but it's like no one else in the series is using a gun. But he dual wields it with a knife, so that should basically tell you what the. He's also got a black coat, so the gun and knife combo is the standard for basic Japanese protagonist. If you don't have any skills, that's basically it. Oh yeah, so where was I? So about the talkers. So it starts off with him basically being a party called Blue Beyond, and he's the tactician of the party. So they're doing stuff. There's a healer, a swordsman, and a warrior with a big axe, just like his grandfather. And they complete a quest in the abyss. And you want to guess what happens with his party right at the beginning of the first episode? Like after the first episode, when they complete a quest, you get
They
two
get
choices.
wiped.
That's one of the choices, but it's the other choice. What do you think happens?
They betray him.
Yes.
Oh my god.
What do you expect from this sort of series? So after he gets what is it? After they get his money, after they complete the quest, Noel's like, "Oh, we're only C rank, but we better like I want to become since I want to become the strongest seeker, we should make a clan, and making a clan makes money." And the leader's like, "Okay, okay, we can talk about this tomorrow. Give me all the money so we can talk about this." And lo and behold, him and the healer girl, they run off with the money because they were in debt. Oh no. So he gets betrayed by his party and now they're penniless. So, and so him and the warrior guy, They track him down, and I guess this is where you're supposed to be think protagonist is super cool and whatnot because it's now a revenge story because once him and the warrior guy, what's his name? I don't know. Walter, is it Walter? I don't care. He leaves like immediately after this. So him and Walter confront his other two party members, and since they spend all their money to pay back a gambling debt, he sells them into slavery. There it is again. The other standard isekais. He sells him to a slavery to this flamboyant slaver dude who's voiced
Oh
by
boy.
who's the guy? He's voiced by Dio. Who's Dio's voice actor?
Koyas Takeito.
Yeah. So he's this flamboyant guy, and it's like, oh, we're gonna sell him. What is it? The debt was they scammed Noel out of 20 million, so he sells them to the slave trader for 15 million and whatnot.
Wow.
And Noel goes something like, whoever crosses me, I will pay them back 1,000-fold. And that's basically his character arc for most of this season that I've seen. If you betray him, he'll exact, I guess,
So
not
is
equal
this
revenge, but
mostly
overbearing revenge on you.
so
Because
is this a well let me start from top down. I'll do kind of like a top down set of questions, but so is this is the story structure mini arcs or it's mini arcs, right? Couple of episodes per arc kind of business or what?
this was 2 episodes, and then the later two
Yeah,
episodes
yeah.
is him. Now that he's out of a party, since the warrior guy was like, damn, dude, I don't want to be a part of this, so he stops being a seeker. So now he's making a new party. So
Okay.
2 arcs, I guess.
So so the main kind of flow of these mini arcs is him growing this clan to a more and more powerful clan and him going out on
He
like
wants,
some sort of
he
general
wants to
adventures, right?
create the most powerful clan at
Yeah.
any cost.
Yep.
Even
Yep.
even if it
So
means even if it means that he becomes a villain to the eyes of the world. And I'm like, okay, man,
sorry.
that's cool.
uh, yeah. Um. It's- uh. So. Uh, so the idea is that he is making this clan and strengthening his power base and doing these adventures and gathering his clan members while sort of acting to his sense of justice, right? Doing those sort of revenge porn kind of not revenge porn, I guess. That's but it's like catharsis kind of
Would you call it
revenge.
cathartic if his revenge is pretty over the top? And I'm like, some people
Isn't
seem
that
to
the
like it,
point
but
of
I think
revenge?
it's pretty boring. It's like, oh, we're gonna sell it
Well, yeah,
instead of the
it's
part instead of the main character being sold into slavery like in other stories, he's the one selling them into slavery. And
yeah.
what is it? Oh, on this quest, like the village leader, the village leader was trying to grossly underestimated the amount of bandits and tried to poison him and kill him, like the MC, so he wouldn't have to pay another gambling debt. The main character, oh, like what is it? Noel takes out one of his eyes and is gonna say, "I'm gonna blind you for life. Don't
Yeah,
underestimate seekers." And I'm like,
I
okay,
feel like
man.
this series is quite heavily aimed towards, or that sort of part of the series at least is quite heavily aimed towards a certain group of people who think that sort of quote unquote edgy adult stuff is real cool, and it's not like those woke series kind of vibes, right? That's sort of
You,
the feeling I'm getting from this.
the funny you say adult because Noel is 16, so like he's
Yeah,
16,
yeah, yeah,
man. Also,
yeah.
and like the only other confirmed member, like age of his other members, is like the main girl who you see in the picture, the one in white. She's 21. Then like there's an elf, and all the other party members that I've seen look a little older than him. So how he's the edgiest and the most mature at 16 years old compared to everyone else. And I'm like, okay, man, why didn't you just make him a little bit older? But like, he definitely looks the youngest out of
I
like
mean,
the
at this
majority of
point,
the
in terms of
cast.
like this general genre and this sort of general power fantasy, I don't think the age matters too much. Although, again, there have been a growing number of isekai likes and power fantasy series with where the main character is in their 30s and 40s, obviously kind of uh, catering to an aging demographic. But that's another story. But I think in terms of like having a younger main character, it doesn't really matter, right? Again, in stuff like
It
Excel
only
World,
matters
the
because they
main
make it a
characters are
big
like in their
deal that
40s.
Noel looks like a cute boy and is also androgynous, and I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't really
again,
care,
that's
but sure.
yeah.
I guess that's to appease a certain audience, but that audience is definitely not me.
Yeah.
Or else, well,
Can you tell us a little bit about the audio visuals?
the visuals is surprisingly similar looking to the Maid one from this season, which I guess makes sense because it's the same studio. It's got the same color
Mhm.
palettes and whatnot. If you compare them. Also, for some reason, the water's CG. I'm like, okay. The horses were CG too, but like,
Yeah.
sure.
How's OPED?
Uh, the opening is. I wrote this down. The opening is Tactics by Kota Yamamoto, featuring Psyche. Do you know who Kota Yamamoto is?
I feel like I've heard of him. Who is
Do you
he?
like Attack on Titan?
Oh no. Wait, I've actually no. I've seen that name, but I remember this not actually from Attack on Titan, but actually from Blue Exorcist because I was searching back.
Yeah, that would be fair. That would. I think that's his debut, Blue
Yeah,
Exorcist
yeah, yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Sure. Also, hey, Chain Soldier was here. I
Hmm.
love mechanical. Yeah. Uh, that's cool. And then the opening's okay, I guess. It's called Tactics because one of his skills is tactics because he's the talker. But the ending is also Kota Yamamoto. That's cool. The ending is Liberation, but the singer is Amy. Her name's Amy Spire.
What?
Aamyy. Amy.
What the fuck? That's such a wait. What is that name? Or what is that? Yeah, what is
Her
that
nickname
name?
is her nickname is Amy
Yeah, I know it's a nickname, but it's like
because
okay.
her nickname is Amy because she was a foreign exchange student in Canada for a while. So
Okay.
I bring that up because the ending is completely in English. So that's
Okay.
cool.
Wow.
Her English is pretty good. So I'm like,
Do
I gotta give her props for that.
you like the ending overall?
I
I
like
agree,
the ending much more than the opening.
Okay.
Amy. Amy Furuhara. Honami Amy Furuhara.
Yes.
Known professionally as Amy. Okay. I gotta give her props
Yeah.
for that. What else? Overall, series sucks. Too
Based.
edgy. I'm bored. Like they they blow their load on how edgy the MC is. Like in the beginning, because for like what for a 16-year-old man, like come on, he's got the whole oh, if you betray me, I've got the red eye glow thing, and his motif is apparently a snake. Because
Wow. Badass.
if you betray him, he'll strike you back like a snake. Also, he saw a snake skin that one time, and he was all like, "Oh,
That's so me.
snakes shed their skin to grow stronger, and I too must shed my new party,
I don't think that's
become
why they shed their
stronger."
skin, but sure.
I guess to grow stronger, because they shed their scales to grow bigger.
Yeah.
So, so
Doesn't really
it's
make them stronger though. Like,
there was. I mean, when he was exacting his revenge, or when he was talking to his party members, there was a snake in the water,
wow.
and then there's a snake skin later on in the same area, and I was like,
It's like
whoa, snake,
it's like symbolism or something. It's crazy.
maybe. But yeah, because he'll do anything to get stronger. And if you betray him or you're worthless to him, then he'll discard you. You're worthless. And every
Yeah.
time he
He's
talks,
ruthless and cruel, just like
That's
me.
badass and cool. That's definitely things that you want to aspire to. Those are like traits that you really want to have. Like,
yeah, jailing your
if
opponents.
somebody in your life is just like, not like
That's
providing
also
like, intrinsic value to you in some sort of,
Kill
material
them,
manner,
yeah,
you should probably just kill them.
or
Um,
sell
yeah,
them
that's
off.
but
also
Yeah,
you know,
definitely setting you up not for future betrayals. For
but
yeah,
they
sure.
yeah.
deserved it. They took his money, so he has to sell them to slavery to get his money back.
I mean, yeah, there's
You
Also,
really
know,
no other choice, right? Like,
Yeah, his hands are tied.
you know what's really
that one
funny also?
villager, that
Okay,
one villager chief tried to kill him after tried to kill him, so he took his eyes and stole
yeah,
all
so
his
you just
money.
have to, you just have to brutally mutilate him and steal all his money. I mean, there's really no other
See,
reasonable course of
the
action,
word,
right?
the
yeah.
best part of that scene is the daughter was like, "Oh, I want to be a seeker just like you, Noelle." And then he does that, and she's like, "Damn, I hate seekers now."
That's
And she's
crazy.
all angry. And
I feel like
I can't
I feel like
believe she would be upset.
I think she's overreacting, I think, but
Sounds a little hysterical to me.
yeah.
Yeah.
and he's supposed to be like, and it showed him trying to be all remorseful, but I'm like, I don't give a shit if he's remorseful or not.
Why would he be
Can I,
remorseful?
can I also point out?
Someone that looked up to him now hates him. He's like, I don't
What?
care.
You just
I'll do
brutally
anything to
killed
become
somebody.
the
You
strongest.
just brutally. Okay,
He
okay.
didn't. He
They
didn't
didn't
kill
even
her.
kill him. That's the
He
thing.
didn't
Like, I
kill
Oh,
him.
feel
He
like
okay,
if
took
he
one.
sorry.
killed the
He
guy, I feel like if he
Sorry,
took
I
killed
one
him,
of
I
didn't
his
feel like it'd be
eyes,
kill him.
and
I
something
just
horrifically
brutally maimed
named
him
about
for
him. Yeah.
life. Like, my bad, I guess.
and it was like, if he didn't, like the village chief was in debt, and if he didn't pay up, he'd kill him. But Noel stole all his money, so now he's definitely going to die, and he's probably going to sell his child into slavery to pay the debt. So I'm like, where are we going with this, man? Two wrongs don't make a right, but apparently, I guess if you steal
If you
his
do
money, then
enough
we're
of
all good.
them, if you
Yeah.
do enough of them, then
But Nier,
eventually it comes back around.
he learned this way of life from his grandfather, because his grandfather was like, if you're going to be a seeker, you must be haughty and arrogant. But I guess that translates to him being super edgy about
And
everything.
retarded.
So it's like,
It's cool.
hey man, sure.
Yeah. Uh, I, I just want to point out that half the positive reviews on my anime list is just like it kind of dissolves into talking about how there's a cool and sexy sidekick that is next to Noel afterwards, and then one
You
of the
noted?
reviews just goes, one of the reviews just goes, "Man, I wish I had that luck." I'm like, bro, you're not even talking about the anime
So,
anymore.
You notice?
What
yeah, that's who this is for, though. So,
Like,
Have
fuck,
you
man. It's just
have you
so.
noticed the
It's like
color contrast though?
literal fucking slop, dude.
The
Fuck
main
me.
character is black and red, and then the guy behind him is blue and white.
Wow.
So, gee, I wonder what their character things
just like
are.
symbolism.
yeah.
Character
It's
traits are,
like
because that dude's a knight apparently.
it's like Dante and
Oh my
Virgil
god.
almost,
Also, and the main
Mm.
girl is white to contrast his black. So it's
Wow.
like, oh, I see where we're
Can you
going with
say
this.
that?
She's wearing white and she's got
Yeah,
white hair.
I'm calling fucking Dr. Umar right now. I got him coming.
But why does she have brown skin? It's like,
You can't say that.
I guess it's a color choice to
Why does she?
accentuate. Because if she was like white on white, it'd be too much. She kind of reminds me of like what's that one hollow chick from Bleach? Uh,
Um.
the was it the shark lady?
Yeah.
Halle Bell?
Yeah.
That's the kind of vibes I got from her. She was cool. But yeah, I mean, should I? The only other character is the girl, but what's her name? Alma Judicali. I guess I should talk about her, and her main class is assassin. Oh yeah. Oh shit, I haven't talked about the voice actors. Anyway,
Right.
and her shtick is she used to be part of the assassin guild or whatever. and her grandfather fought Noel's grandfather, and he lost an arm to her or to him. So like you think it was about revenge, but it's kind of not. Her backstory is kind of weird because she was raised to be this ultimate assassin by her grandfather, who lost to Noel's grandfather. But then she killed her grandfather, I guess, in a final test thing.
How many grandfathers are being killed here?
Just
Can we?
just two,
You know?
just two.
Okay.
But
Probably
like
all of them.
the new leader of the Assassin's Guild was like, "You're a good assassin, but you're not good fit for our guild anymore."
Okay.
Because they're trying to be on the straight and narrow now. They're not
Mhm.
the assassin guild anymore. They're gonna work under the government for espionage. And so she was like, "Damn, what am I going to do for the rest of my life?" So the new leader
Yeah,
was like,
straight as an arrow. The CIA.
the new leader was like, "Why don't you meet Noel Stolen? His grandfather beat up your grandfather, right? He wants to become a seeker, even though he's so weak." I guess that's why she seeks him out and becomes his first new party member, and that's why she's the main girl, I guess. What
Yeah.
else? So what is? So yeah, and I guess I should talk about the voice actors. Noel's voiced by Yamashita Daiki. Do you know who that is?
Mhm. I know he's a veteran, but I forget some of the roles that he's been in.
He's Deku, my dudes.
Oh right, yeah. Okay. Good call. Good
Boku
call.
no My Hero Academia. He's
Yep.
Deku.
Yep.
So now Deku's. Remember that one arc when Deku was a vigilante? I guess that's this whole series. So now he's in that edgy role. And
So I guess
Toxic Deku
no, because remember he's edgy.
would have
Oh
been
yeah.
awesome.
he's like,
Yeah. Also, and I guess Alma's voiced by Yu. That's cool. Yu's pretty cool.
Princess. Yeah.
I don't know her roles off the top of my head. She's a chick. She's the blonde chick in Tempuru. Uh, yeah, Kakigiri. I see Kakigiri. What? No, she's not. I don't know. She's Shara Greenwood in Mao-sama.
Okay.
Cool. And then
Who'd you rate it?
I mentioned Finocchio Barzini, the slave trader. That's voiced by Dio.
Yeah.
Small roles. This guy's
Yeah.
voiced by
There's
Dio.
there's like a decent mix of like veterans in here, alongside some people who haven't necessarily found out their breakout roles. Obviously, some of the other notables are like Hondo Kaede, Maeda Kaori. She's been hot stocks
Oh
recently.
yeah, oh
Uh,
yeah. Hondo Kaide's Tanya, the one. I
yep.
think she's the one that got them into gambling debt in the first place. So damn you, Hondo Kaide,
Yeah.
you're gambling debt.
Yeah.
What else? Series
Oh,
kind of ass.
yeah. What
I
rating would you
don't.
give it?
Me personally, I don't find the main character to be likable at all. He's too edgy for my taste.
Mhm.
Maybe it's because I've lost my edgelord phase over the years.
You're not a you're not a Tokyo Ghoul and Rito of Healer mega fan now.
I don't know. I'm maybe
Yeah.
I'm too old now.
Yeah.
You know who the perfect
Well,
protagonist is?
mm,
It's Kashido.
who?
Hell yeah, that dude's cool.
What?
Also, Emi Ashiro. Yeah, Emi Ashiro is pretty cool dude too. Near.
True.
Also, the
Alright.
guy from what is it called? What is that one series that was in the same series as Asterisk War, but I thought it was better?
All right. So what rating would you give it?
Uh, uh, Chivalry of Rakudai Kishi. That guy from Rakudai Kishi is pretty cool. He was weakest, but he was also strongest. Maybe it's because I
What
like more
rating?
heroic MCs nowadays rather than edgy.
Yeah.
I guess
So
I like to be
what rating
hopeful
would you
of
give it
the
the series?
world more than being an edge lord. But yeah, for a series that's way too much like that's way too edgy for me. Like not redoer of healer edgy, but like slight like one or two below that, but
Yeah,
still pretty
Rito of
edgy.
Healer is more pushing the envelope and just what can be shown on
Everyone
terms of
liked the first two episodes.
late
The
night
first two
anime.
episodes of Redo a Healer, I guess. and I'm like,
I
okay,
didn't
man.
like any of the episodes of Redo Healer.
That's funny because most people would like the contrast or the shock value of the first two episodes of this, showing what he needs, like the extent of what
Uh,
he'll do.
yeah.
I'm gonna give this a solid 6 out of 10,
Dude.
slightly below
Okay.
my average.
Wait, you didn't just call it ass like literally 2 minutes
Yeah,
ago?
Yeah,
if
that's why it's
seven,
not a 9, dude.
if
Yeah, that's true.
I believe 7 is my average rating. This
Okay,
one's
okay, okay, okay.
That's not how the 1 to 10 scale
He's got
works.
the
Well,
IGN
the,
rating.
the scale is
Yeah.
relative for everybody. But
so yeah.
yeah.
This one's it's not. I don't think it's very interesting at all. They don't really
Okay.
go much into like the world building either. It's
Mhm.
just the whole seeker thing, and oh, my whole village was destroyed by the abyss
Ah,
thing
yeah,
is
yeah.
basically just the premise to make him just to make him more edgy. And
Mhm.
it's like not he's not even doing a revenge arc on like the abyss itself, or like, oh, I'm gonna destroy all the creature of the world and bring peace to the world. No, he just wants to become the strongest seeker because he got the weakest class and his
Yeah,
grandfather was a
yeah,
seeker.
yeah.
So it's like
No?
his goal is is not very well thought out in general, and it's not really a revenge thing unless you want to count like, oh, I'm getting revenge for being the weakest class. That's supposed to be his like revenge, his
Mhm.
his raison d'etre, raison d'etre. I don't know how to pronounce it. You know what I mean?
Raison d'être, yeah.
Yeah, that
Raison d'être, yeah.
it's pretty weak. This series is pretty weak overall.
Yeah.
I guess I don't.
Unfortunate.
I want to say it's too edgy. I would not recommend this series out of the isekai this season. I'd actually recommend the other two because at least those two have some like funny, would have some humor to spice it
Mhm.
up. But this one's just it's played straight edge. Get it? And
Mhm.
I find it pretty boring. Not much to do.
Okay.
So
Alright.
yeah,
Well, again, very unfortunate, but
is it
thank you
unfortunate?
for. Well, yeah, again, I've never been one of the people. So we criticize a lot of series in this podcast, but I've never held the opinion that having a bad series is a good thing for this world. Obviously, having a bad series is bad because we always want
Hey,
more good anime series. We don't want
Konohana,
bad anime series.
that series is super. What's wrong with Akunohana? That series sucks, but I'm glad it exists.
Yeah.
Also, what is it?
uh
Uzumaki? What about Uzumaki?
Uzumaki. God.
Are you glad that
Uh,
exists, Spire?
I'm not glad it exists, but I wish that it could have been better, is my opinion. But
I don't
anyways,
wish this series would have been better. This series is ass.
but anyways, thank you very much, Toast. This was the most notorious talker runs the world's greatest clan, also yeah, world's greatest clan, also known as Saikyou no Shienshoku Wajutsushi である俺は世界最強クランの従う。
Like, even though what is it? The grieving soul is about him being in a guild, which is like a clan. So
Yeah.
really, I'd rather recommend you watch Grieving Soul over this.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But yeah, this was done by Felix Films, originally Naroke, Power Fantasy series, Power Fantasy High Fantasy series, the classic quote unquote not isekai variant, but I probably wouldn't recommend it again as Toast suggested. So very unfortunate.
Weakest is. Do you call weakest the strongest an isekai variant if it takes place in a fantasy world?
If it
I
follows
would.
the standard trappings of like, it's not just about being in a fantasy world or even in a high fantasy setting. It's about this combination of I guess as you're implying, this weakest is strongest power. It has a power of fantasy. It has this. Oh, I'm controlling everything in this feudal world because I'm secretly freaking awesome. And then usually I gather these lackeys slash sidekicks that are enamored with me to to varying degrees. Usually it has the girl who's a slave or an elf or princess or whoever who's just like,
Elf
wow,
bonus
you're
points
so
if it's elf
cool.
slave.
Dark elf slave magician the girl, yeah, exactly. But yeah, there's just people know what this variant is. It's just that they, how do I say this? It's like some political alignments. They are sometimes too embarrassed to admit out loud that they like watching this genre. Is I think what some people are up to. So, but anyways, thank you very much for helping covering this. To thank you very much for covering this. And I'll take on over the reins here. And my series is one that kind of appeared on social media, but I don't think it got I think nearly as much attention as some of the other big ones. Obviously, stuff like Rama was on the big stage, so this kind of got swept aside. And my series that I'm going to cover is Mecha-Ude, also known as Mechanical Arms.
I was gonna
So this
cover
was a
that, but oh well.
so this was a originally a Kickstarter project that was started up in, I believe, 2016. So this was
Damn.
done by Okamoto Sae, who had back then some previous experience in terms of animation direction, just background art, stuff like that. Really, so that was a Kickstarter project. It got it met its goal. They showed a preview of it in May 2019. I believe it got a manga adaptation based off the story in 2022, and finally, the series premiered in this season in 2024. So it was a long time coming, but Okamoto Sae finally got her, proper due, and via her efforts and as um, with the efforts of the studio that she's sort of the core of, the Triaf Studio, they managed to sort of get this into a full anime series. So this is again mainly headed by Triumph Studio. They obviously brought together a couple of people from the outside. So Okamoto kind of brought together a combination of sort of say recently hot names such as Nakanishi Yasuhiro, who was doing script and series composition. He was also the series script composition person behind Kakko no Inazuke, Kaguya-sama, Matosehei no Slave, also known as Chain Soldier, Shy, stuff like that. So pretty hot stocks here, as well as veterans such as what is it, Nishi Terumi. She did, I believe, character design and animation stuff related to JoJo Season 3, Diamond is Unbreakable. She did Penguin Drum character design, the 2023 Rurouni Kenshin stuff, Kimi no Iromachi, uh, as well as, interestingly enough, Sawano Hiroyuki, heading both the music stuff, as well as composing the opening and ending themes, and obviously cobbling together some newcomers as well with regards to some of the music and the assistant animation. And so just creating this ragtag band of people connected to her various projects and Okamoto Sai's various projects in Triumph Studio, as well as some other works here and there. So it is an interesting group, but they do a. I'm not. Obviously, they got some Kickstarter goal, or they got some Kickstarter money, and they probably got some proper production committee money. But I don't think they fully got a huge bag like they would have with, say, something like a subsequent Kaguya-sama season, right? Or a subsequent Attack on Titan season, to put it mildly. So I think they were doing the best they could with the amount of money, the budget that they were allotted. They did pour in a lot of money, strangely enough, into the voice acting cast, or at least a decent amount of money. I think from looking from the list, although some of these veterans had have not been in every series recently, right? They haven't been super active recently, so they might have been hired for slightly cheaper. So you have mostly veterans here. You have Romi Park, you have Sugi Tomokazu as one of the mechanical arms. You have Toyonaga Toshiyuki, Shimamura Yu as the main sort of red-haired hero, Aki. You have Nakamura Yuichi as one of these sorts of antagonists. Uh, Yuki Aoi. You have Ishikawa Kaito, Hikasa Yoko. Pretty much almost everybody here is a veteran voice actor or actress. The interesting thing is there are two I guess more supporting-ish characters that are being voiced by Amatsuki and Eve, and the Amatsuki and Eve are both sort of famous, relatively popular singers that I think got started on YouTube. I forget they might have been. I don't think they were Ryuutei, but I think they really kind of started spreading via SNS on YouTube and stuff like that. And they are also internet personalities, I believe. So they did end up getting voice acting roles here, which might have been more of Okamoto Saya's pull than anything else. And obviously, maybe her not having enough, running out of budget a little bit on the voice acting cast and hiring them for cheaper because they're probably out to get some voice acting experience. Because I think doing this is a little bit more rare. Usually voice acting people tend to it's the other way around, right? It's like a lot of people have voice acting roles and then they transition more fully into say a singing career role, right? The most famous examples being Mizuki Nana, although she had very severe vocal training when she was young, right? Singing training when she was young, but she was still by profession, she started out as a voice actress, right? And then she went to the singing role. Yano Mamoru, similar stuff. I think there are not many roles where you have a proper like singing role and then they kind of transition back into a voice acting role too much. Um, but I think Chiara Minori might be like one of the literally like one of the only ones maybe. Or Hitomi Harada, I think might be one of the only roles where I've seen like a singer back into voice acting role here. But it is quite rare. It is interesting that they got hooked up with this role. But those are pretty much the only non-veteran voice actor or actresses in this cast. So very much a powerhouse cast here in terms of the Seiyu. If not, they're not the current A-list. They're not the current shining stars, female casts of all time right now that are all the hot stuff like Ueda Reina or Uesaka Sumire, but they are very, very, very much powerhouse veterans. Going over to OPED, both again the opening and the ending have been composed by Saona Hiroyuki. If you don't know who Saona Hiroyuki is, read a book. It's on Wiki. He's done a lot of very good stuff, and some not as not as good stuff in more recent years. I want to say, right? He's gotten into a little bit of a how do I say this K-pop funk recently. Been doing a lot of openings and endings where he's collaborating with K-pop boy bands
Bro, I
for
think he's just taking anything that comes to his fucking like
yeah, but
literally any contract
why
that
does he
enters
keep
his
making
fucking
these
email
K-pop
inbox.
collabs?
He's like, "Yep,
Yeah,
I'll do
like
it."
what I'm curious, what cracks me up is that he keeps making these K-pop boy band covers for these random series, right? You had the one with the horse riding anime, right? If I
Yeah,
remember correctly, that had the K-pop, and then the other one was
solo leveling, right?
Singularity Rain or whatever the esports series or whatever it is, right?
Yeah,
Um, he did that esports series, and that was also a K-pop opening or something like that. Uh, yeah. Okamoto Sai is a female director, right? I I'm surprised this one wasn't K-pop, to be honest. Maybe they ran out of money for this, but
yeah. Who knows?
uh, yeah. So both are so opening is Vortex by Setsuko. Um, I believe that's probably the vocalist, the female vocal. The ending is Karma, also by Setsuko, so same vocal, same composer. The opening has okay storyboarding with the action and introducing all the characters and the relevant foreshadowing via the fight scenes. It's clear that it's trying to do the best it can with all the resources they have, the budget they have in terms of artist man hours that they can afford. But Um, so the storyboarding is okay, but the musical composition is honestly a less than impressive sort of synth pop song from Sano that sounds more like a nondescript BGM than it does an actual opening. So it is a little bit of a disappointment there. The ending is better. No, it's not even better, honestly. It's actually worse. So it is like innocuous. So the storyboarding is very innocuous and vague, which is very standard with these sorts of um, action drama series, right? Where the guy's just like looking out into the horizon or looking up at a teary shadow or whatever, stuff like that, right? And it has all these vague visuals, quote unquote symbolic visuals, right? And has that, and that's okay, whatever. But the ending is even in terms of composition theme, it's so much more boring music wise. It's like you take the standard quiet, you know, sub 120 BPM ED and you just put it on sleeping pulse. It was this opening and ending was not good from Sound Hiroyuki, I want to say. Definitely on the lower end of his works, but you know, you can't win them all, I guess. Or although Sauna has not been winning, I don't think he's been batting 500 even. I think he's been
No.
batting sub 500. So very unfortunate from him. Overall audio visuals with regards to the series, I think when it gets to the CG related motion effects for stuff like fast action scenes, I think it's okay. But in terms of most of the other stuff, and I don't want to sound too critical because I know what the budget is. I know that they kind of try to start out from this small Kickstarter. It's small studio. Obviously they managed to uh get with the production company, get some producers in with the and have some good connections here. But they're not production IG, right? They're not hooked up to the money. It's not like they're getting pumped from Bamco or wherever. But other than the CG related motion effects, a lot of stuff like how the characters are fleshed out in terms of palette or skin tone or shading, um, is or although I mean the character designs themselves are fine. The character designs themselves are fine, but how they're fleshed out, right? Again, in terms of like shading or palette, is a little bit iffy. The in between frames are iffy. The battle effects, like sparks and like electricity flowing through the arms, are kind of iffy. Stuff like how various inanimate objects are drawn kind of are iffy. For instance, in episode one, you can see some various stuff where there's a clear difference between hand drawn objects in terms of background objects or even objects just in the foreground versus sort of this CAD rendered objects that are much more obvious that it was just like pretty much computer designed and cubic. And so this sort of mixture of, I want to say, lack of polish definitely makes him seem much more like an indie level, like an ONA net animation type of project. And for me, again, I sympathize with what they're going through with regards to the budget, with the man hours, with potentially the lack of full connections that they have, stuff like that. But I'm not it's a good try, but I'm not comparing this to a Newgrounds net animation. You know what I mean? I'm not comparing this to like a Flash animation back in 2000, whenever. I'm comparing this with the likes of Eizouken. I'm comparing this with the likes of Land of the Lustrous. I'm comparing this with the likes of Trigun. I'm comparing this with the likes of whatever, right? And so it is a little bit of a hard sell, even if people are like, yo, bro, this is what true awesome enthusiasm looks like. Yeah, like, I know, but it is lacking polish. Like, that is something that you can't really take away from this review. Um,
But
the
Spire,
BPM, yeah, yeah. Go on.
You just got
What?
fucking trolled so hard, dude.
What? Okay. Uh, But anyways, the BGM by Sano, as I mentioned before, Sano is heading the BGM and music composition. that's fine. It's like the usual kind of orchestral theme, heavy orchestral stuff, orchestral swells and stuff like that. That he's known for, almost Malarian in scale, right? But sometimes it does
Malaria.
that
I think you can make some pills
Malarian,
for that.
yeah,
Also, Spire,
as
how
in
much do you think
yeah.
this series costs?
Uh, sh-
How much of that
it
Kickstarter
probably
money was put to good use?
Probably like
what
half
was the
of it.
Kickstarter? Was the Kickstarter like sub 100K or something like that? How much was it? It's
Oh,
like
60K. How much do you think went into? How much do you think went into this series?
you know, I mean, because it's like the Kickstarter can also be used as like a proof of concept for the
Oh,
production committee and stuff like that.
you
Yeah,
mean like Mega
usually
Man Legends 3?
Kickstarters. Yeah, usually Kickstarters are like sort of like
Like, hey, look, we
they
brought
show
in
it.
this many
Yeah, they
eyeballs.
show it to
Yeah,
like
yeah,
studios and investors to be like, hey, look at how much money we raised just from crowdfunding. You want to invest
yeah,
in
yeah,
our
yeah,
project? It's usually how it
yeah.
happens.
I mean, I think they would invest most of it, but I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of it also went to just like general marketing costs as well. But um, I would say it's I would say maybe this. I think the cap for this series is probably 1 million USD, and it's I will probably guess if it had this many kind of interruptions and stops, and they had kind of had to scrape together stuff, it's probably sub 500K USD, but I don't know. I'm pretty bad at ROM estimates, so but yeah, so the going back to the BGM stuff, audio visuals, the BGM by Saona Hiruki has the usual like Mahlerian, like Gustav Mahler kind of like epic scale
New stuff.
orchestra kind
Oh,
of evocation. Yeah, yeah, Gustav Mahler. Um, these sorts of like
so
evocations. Yeah,
I continue. Continue.
but the issue is the BGM, by virtue of it being these sorts of like large, thick orchestral compositions, it cuts a contrast because when that sort of orchestral music swells and you just have like just Sauna Hiroyuki just banging it out, it's a contrast between that and the more sort of ghetto visuals, and that's very unfortunate because you have something that again looks like a much more indie level ONA coming in, and just in the back it's just like Phase Zero BGM and stuff like that, or like Gundam VGM, and you're like, what is okay? Like,
Speaking of that, how does it compare to those two that you just mentioned?
in terms of just BGM.
Or an overall
Um,
music feel? How good is the OST compared to
oh,
what you just said?
it's not. It's definitely not comparable. It evokes similar, obviously, because Sauna uses similar instrumentation, right? He likes using that like full orchestral
Yeah.
suite. It has a similar feel, but definitely does not compare to something like a Gundam Unicorn, like a Phaser. That's like it's again, those are
So you're saying,
very
Gundam
yeah.
Unicorn still at the top?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's very hard to compare because it's like those are sort of like the original crown jewels of Saono's discography,
Oh yeah, Spire.
right?
But who would win in a fight? Hiroyuki Sawano or Kenji Kawai?
Fuck. Dear, you want to answer this one?
Near. Don't let him. Do not answer this, Near. It's on him.
I mean,
I
I mean,
think Kenji
at
Kawai,
this
right?
point, it's
Kenji
just a question
Kawai.
of consistency, right? Like Kenji Kawhi is
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
like killed it.
Kenji Kawai has
So
also had, I think, more tries and different stuff and has still had success, right? Like Ip Man
Oh
and
yeah.
stuff like that, right? So
Name
I would say.
one good Kenji Kawai OST.
I
Ghost in
literally
the
said
Shell.
Ip Man. Yeah.
No, that's not correct answer. Try again.
Okay,
But yeah.
objectively wrong.
Oh yeah.
but but yeah, the so that's sort of all I really had about the audio visuals. One last thing. This is more on the voice acting front. Sugita Tomokazu does an excellent job as the sidekick Mecha-Ude or the sidekick mechanical arm. he mixes in sort of both more serious. He's able to do his like kind of deeper ikemen, serious, handsome, like serious tone, but he can also kind of put in the comedic tone, which is also necessary. So this is like similar capabilities to say something like a Shimonohiro, who has both the serious shtick and the comedic shtick. But Sukita is also very like much better at just doing that serious voice, right? Like the Ragnar the
Did
Blood Edge kind of like
you
voice. So
did you talk about like the names, the puns yet? Were there any pun names in their things?
um
Is one of them
there's like
named
a
like
Arma. There's like an arm. I mean, the main one is named the main mecha arm, right? That's the sidekick of the main character is named Arma. So
that's lame.
yeah, I mean it is, but you know, it
But
is
if
what
it's
it
called
is.
Mecha-Ude, there's no one named like left or right, like Migi or Hidari, or like a foot one named Ashi, nothing like that.
There's like one arm that's named like Dex, but I don't
That's
think the
lame.
yeah,
It's super
yeah,
lame.
it's not great. I
You
agree,
you
it's not
have you
great.
have to have the name puns. It just makes it stick out more. Like
Yeah, I kind of
it's all
now
freaking
that you mentioned, I
Mecha-Ude,
kind of
dude.
wish that they went with that too, but unfortunate. It is
Or
very
like yeah,
unfortunate. I'd agree. Yeah.
like if there's an Ude that's a leg, Ashi,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
Come
That'd
on,
be
man.
pretty
Come
funny.
on.
Yeah. That'd be pretty great. I agree for that. But yeah, it didn't happen. Very unfortunate. But yeah,
I'll
so
dock
going
you
into
2 points for that.
yeah. So going into the story real quick, it's just so these arms are not just they're not human technology that were invented, they're just alien life forms that came down. It's like Venom, right? Where they have like the symbiotes or whatever.
Don't you mean Parasite Spire? There's a Migi right there. Come on, man.
Yeah. It's like Parasite as well, just like the anime, but they are similar to mechanized limbs on Earth. So they take on those forms. I guess it's like
Hold on.
Transformers. It's like Transformers, right? Hmm?
Is there I mentioned leg. Is there a leg one?
No, unfortunately
No,
not.
no leg one.
There's
No,
like general like suits and appendage. It's like a general appendage kind of thing, but there's no like
no,
leg
like
one.
no mechanical wheelchair with legs yet. Come
Like
on.
they
And
help people. Like the robots can act as like boosters and stuff like that, and just like help. It's kind of like a Doc Ock kind of situation sometimes, but there's no full. Oh, this is just like a robot leg or like a robot wheelchair kind of situation. You know what I mean?
Freaking Huey Emmerich had a robot wheelchair. Come on, man.
Yeah,
And he did it what
yeah,
9 years ago.
yeah. But yeah, so going back to the story, so people have gotten used to these like Mecha-Ude alien life forms kind of being on Earth now, and they are uh so he kind of the one of the main like life forms of the sort of one of the highlighted arms, right? Arm Mecha-Udes, right? Um Arma, this like golden silver arm kind of alien creature that seems mysteriously powerful and mysteriously desired, gets chased around. He accidentally joins and partners up with our main hero, the main protagonist, also known as Amatsuka Hikaru, uh, and who is just kind of like an everyday Japanese boy, a shy, kind of a timid boy, blah blah, blah. And he um he hooks up with somebody who you know, sort of like this moody, temperamental kind of, but overall kind of just somewhat quiet girl named Murasame Aki, who is who has been chasing Arma, and then she ends up serving as the main character's guardian as well as Arma's guardian to while kind of also trying to hunt down um, this sort of mysterious foe this mysterious foe who is a Mecha-Ude wielder, who is another Mecha-Ude wielder who has been going on causing trouble. So that sort of plot line, this Murasame Aki, the girl, the main heroine's past, as well as what she's doing right now, is kind of intertwined with the troubles that the new kind of troubles and new enemies that the main character and as well as his sidekick Arma faces in the later upcoming episodes, and that plot also gets mixed in with stuff like the um like a secret shadow organization who is looking out for um this mythical trigger arm, which is supposed to be this like super Mecha-Ude, which is like omnipotent essentially. And um
So wait,
they
hold on.
are
Who's the main antagonist? It's just
it's
other
this
Mecha Udes? No.
they are antagonists and Mecha-Udes, but it's just mainly yeah, it's mainly this like shadow organization called the Kagami Group, who is like a bunch of people who are trying to find and hunt down this like powerful Mecha-Ude, essentially,
See,
and just kind of use
I
it for
would
their
have
own.
made it. I would have made it like another group of aliens that were like opposite of Mecha Ude, which I don't know. What's the opposite of body parts? Like like, I don't know, heart and brain, maybe lungs. I don't know, inner organs, I guess.
Yeah, it's like Megatron, right? It's like what you're kind of thinking about here. Yeah.
Like, so what's the opposite of like human body parts? This is like that would have been a better antagonist than just a
Like
shadow
alien body
organization.
parts, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't know,
But
like inorganic, like maybe computer life. Like, oh,
oh,
here's
like full
supercomputer,
weird like alien cyborg kind of thing.
and here's
Yeah.
monitor and mouse and keyboard.
Uh,
I don't know, something
mm,
that sounds kind of lame. I'm glad I didn't cover this.
but yeah. So overall, there's like a lot of things that kind of mix up, or a lot of things that this story is trying to balance. So it's trying to balance how the main character is stumbling through all these different story details and having to chase after the secret organization and deal with the secret background of Arma and what the shadow organization is up to and what they want with the trigger arm and how that's related to Arma. The story has to take care of Murasame, the main sort of heroine, and her background and her relationship with the Shadow Organization and all that stuff. And then there's also the sort of comedic aspect. There's a lot of slapstick and manzai. Tsukomi kind of somebody one of the arms says something stupid, and there's a Komi, and there's a lot of back and forth comedic dialogue going on. So they're adding some screen time for that. They're adding a sort of will they, won't they, slightly romantic school life ish relationship aspect that's also taking up screen time. Some of the people at school, some of the classmates uh, uh, um, of Anotsuka Hikaru, right? As well as Murasame, and they're all like, "Oh, are you two a couple?" Blah blah, and there's that sort of aspect. So they're juggling a lot of stuff, and I don't think they're doing the best job of juggling it. But I think part of that is just um, an issue with sort of how brittle the story is, I think overall, even despite it kind of just being a almost kind of proof of concept show, despite it almost just being the sort of cathartic, oh, I'm just gonna have this arm and my arm is going to go into action and I'm going to run at enemies and punch them with my arm or something like that, like just doing the fight scenes. Although it is supposed to be a series like that, I think the story is a little bit too brittle and it kind of shows its weaknesses at the wrong times. So, um one of the things that I do, however, like about this series is the is the fact that the arms are much heavily invested in the in the comedic parts of the story. So what I mean by that is that usually when you have these psychic robot things, right? It's a lot of it's just like, oh, you gotta power me up. It's like, oh, or it's like you gotta focus on your heart's desire, and it's a lot of just back and forth. Oh, I'm gonna power up. Oh, we this mode activated, that mode activated, blah blah, and it's not much else, right? It's a very Jarvis talking with Iron Man kind of shtick, or maybe at best it's like a very dry wisecrack, right? Like why am I forgetting freaking who Batman and Alfred, right? It's
Yeah.
like a Batman and Alfred kind of relationship where it's like a small wisecrack here and there, but for the most part, it's like Alfred's like, yeah, fucking, we got Batmobile out, kind of business. It's a lot more invested than that. So the arms will constantly just like crack jokes and even fight amongst each other. Like one of the mechas will say, or sorry, one of the Mecha-Udes will just say something, and it's like, "What are you talking about? Like that doesn't make any sense." They'll even spur on dramatic dialogue with each other where one of the Mecha-Udes will start doing this like story exposition, and the other Mecha-Ude is just like, "What? But that doesn't make any sense." Blah 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 blah. Blah. And like, it's not even the human characters that are doing the exposition; it's the Mecha-Ude characters, and I really appreciate that because more, um, it gives more members of the cast like talking with each other while still having them being relevant within the story, right? Because one problem with having a larger and larger cast with everybody talking is that because they are all different human beings, they can't constantly be around each other, right? So you'll all a lot of times when you have a bigger cast in animated story situations in anime or even manga, really, it's you have this thing where you'll have a scene where two or three people will interact, and then you cut to another scene where two or three people will interact, and then back and forth. But that's not the case with having a larger cast, but then some of it's these mecha arms because, or mecha companions, because those mecha companions are pretty much always alongside, alongside the human beings, right? So in essence, you can have four people talking in one scene or four or five people talking in one scene, and it feels much more natural because, of course, the Mecha Ude are allowed to talk because they are these animated things. And of course, they're allowed to be there and talk constantly because they're the sidekicks of these human beings, right? So they don't have to have like limited number of casts. Instead, they can have a larger number of characters talking at the same time without it feeling unnatural, right? Without it feeling like they're like the story is the storyboard is about this like board meeting, right? So I think that was a really good thing to do for this story. That being said, again, I think going back, the balance of it's kind of two standard flaws where it's the balance of the series in terms of screen time, right? I think there's a little bit too much of the comedic dialogue that comes in, especially when um there's a lot of dramatic stuff that needs to be uncovered or like a little bit more serious stuff. Like obviously there's the romantic subplot, but I mean they can kind of ignore that too. But this whole thing of all right, what is Arma? What is going on? But we also have to cover Aki's background, the main hero's background, and then we have to link all that back to the Shadow Organization. We have to cover the more of the back lore of what the heck Mecha-Ude are and what this trigger arm nonsense is, and they have to cover that, but they're also trying to shoehorn in the comedy and the romantic stuff at the same time, and I think it's doing too much of the rom com. As much as I do like as much as I do like rom com in general, I think there's just too much of it in comparison to needing to resolve this whole drama and beating up the enemies and doing all this stuff, especially in a series that's supposed to be more focused about the action, right? So I think that's one flaw. The other flaw is that obviously the story. I think I apologize to the script slash series composition person, Nakanishi, but I think this story is a little bit threadbare, right? It's a little bit cheesy. There's a lot of just the protagonist just resolving it like a ghetto Toma, index Toma kind of style, where it's just, oh, fuck this, I'm just gonna run in and punch things kind of business, or like I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm just gonna run in with my Mecha-Ude and then fight because I can't give up. And that's sort of the general resolution that it comes towards, and then the girl's background story and how her development, I don't want to spoil things, but how that sort of development happens and the drama that ensues in the later episodes. Um, By the way, I'm up to episode 5 as of this recording, but the drama and how that ensues is honestly something that I could have seen like 50 miles away, and it's very cheesy and very predictable at times. I won't dock too many points for it, but I think that Nakanishi and Okamoto and the others could definitely have done a little bit better with the planning, a little bit better, especially since this wasn't a 1 year, 2 year sudden project, right? This is literally an 8 year span, a project spanning 8 years until release. So they could have done a little bit better, I think. But it is a little bit unfortunate that the story panned out to be as predictable and a little bit mediocre slash cheesy as it is.
So, is
Overall,
this a
yeah,
children's show or like a normal show? If you think
it's
about
a
it,
normal show. It's a normal show, I think.
would have been better if it was a children's show,
Maybe.
like with
Obviously
like
there are some
collectible
more
toys.
sordid
Hell
like
yeah!
details and stuff like that, but yeah, I think it would have been okay with a couple modifications. I think it would have been okay as a children's show for sure. Um, Overall, I think this is an okay base to start off. I think they had good voice acting people. I think they had good character designs. I think that with the budget that they did all they could with like the fight scenes. It's a little bit ghetto, but I think it was a good foundation for the most part. I think the story is a little bit off, and that it would have been nice if I don't know. I feel like the heroine's background is I think the script writers should just not have gone into the hero's background too much at all, or because going into the hero's background and it being the whole like tragic backstory, and then oh this needs to happen because blah blah and that sort of resulting drama, that sort of write up was all just too predictable, and I just honestly I just want to say if you're going to be that predictable, just don't go into it at all. Just don't bother with it. Just be like, oh, it's just a cool heroine, you know, she got popped out of a lab. She's clone number 644, whatever. We're just gonna go with this, uh, and then just focus on beating the shadow organization or beating the flavor of the month. I think that would have been a much better structure. This whole drama stuff is very just too on the nose for my liking. But yeah, uh, I would at the end of the day, it was a good try. It was a valiant try. I don't hate it. I actually like it a decent amount. Um, I would probably recommend this to people, but I can't honestly sit here and be like, wow, this is a solidly really good series that you should watch if I were to recommend it to people. I can't say because there are just too many flaws here and there to be able to fully be like, hey, this is the year 2024, this is the year 2025, this is the year 2026. You should be watching this series. Uh, it, in comparison to some of the other stuff that we've seen in the recent years, it's just too much to ask for. So I think my Mal rating for this series will be a 6.5 out of 10. It is a series that I'd be to a friend, I'd be like, "Hey, this is cute. You know, you might want to check it out if you want to just watch kind of just some wacky kind of like action scenes here and there, some cute action scenes here and there." But would I fully be able to recommend it to a person who wants an anime again on the likes of an Eizouken, on the likes of place further than the universe, on the likes of something like Oshinoko, on the likes of something like Land of the Lustrous or Beastars, would I be able to recommend it to somebody who has experienced those series? Not fully. Too many holes. So even if it is, oh yeah, it's a smaller studio, blah blah. Again, the comparison I'm making with Mecha-Ude and Tribe Studio is not. I'm not comparing them to a 2008 Newgrounds animation, okay? I'm comparing them to the animation industry that as it currently exists right now. So in that sense, I cannot fully endorse Mecha-Ude as a really solid series.
Okay,
The
but if you
story,
were
the
choosing
programming.
between Mecha-Ude and Ruby, what would it be?
I personally, from what I think Ruby's story is better, but I like Mecha Ude's
You know
animation
not what
style
you
just a
say.
little bit. Yeah.
There's no, I don't believe that for a second. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's accurate.
But I like Mecha Ude's animation style slightly more, but it's like at this point we're just kind of, not it's kind of here and there. It's kind of all there. But I think, yeah, it's just too hard for me to fully endorse this with a, you know, stuck out kind of chest, bam, this is the series you should be watching. I think it's okay for a fun little romp. It's nothing beyond that. So 6.5 out of 10 is the final score I will give it. But yeah, that was my review of Mecha-Ude, also known as Mechanical Arms. This is I believe, again, the full anime series adaptation that started out as a Kickstarter project way back in 2016 headed by Okamoto Sai of Triad Studios, and it eventually got fleshed out into this full adaptation. So if you are interested in this sort of, just having this fun little romp with the arm action scenes, again, be aware that the visual level, it's not exactly UBW, right? It's not, it's
Damn. And
not
is it worth?
Demon Slayer, right?
So
um,
you're saying it's not worth watching?
yeah, it's just over. It's not table, so you might as well just turn off.
Out
You
of
just might as well turn off the laptop
so
there.
is this the best of the? I would say the crowd-funded animes. You would say, is it better than Nekopara? Is it better than Black Rock Shooter?
Yeah, oh, for sure. It's like, oh, that's actually interesting.
I don't know,
I would
man. Didn't
say, I
didn't
would say animation style. I would say in terms of like the overall polish, Nekapara and Black Rock Shooter are better than Mecha-Ude was. But I think again, that's part of because they just had so much of a larger budget. I would very much guess that at least like at the time relative to all other costs, right? Living costs and stuff like that and working costs. Nekapata and Black Rock Shooter definitely got way more money than Mecha-Ude did, right? But in terms of story, just because Nekapara, especially the animation, just had such a sleep-inducing shit-ass story. It's even compared to the visual novel, and the visual novel itself was pretty not great in terms of the story. And Black Rock Shooter, as there might be some longtime listeners of the podcast who might know this. I detested the original Black Rock Shooter anime.
I hate.
Yes, so the story definitely is worse
I
than,
don't know,
or
man.
the Mecha-Ude story is definitely better than either one of those stories.
But does it have a Kamen Rider reference?
Uh,
No.
no, I
Nekopara
don't
has a
think so.
Kamen Rider reference. That gives it 2 points.
But yeah, yeah, again, as I said, 6.5 out of 10. That's about all I can say for this. But yeah, a little bit unfortunate, but again, I'm sure they did the best they could with the budget that they had. So, but yeah, that was my review for Mecha Day. And last but not least, we come to Nier. You have a certain series that at least I've been looking forward to, and I know quite a decent number of others have been as well. So.
Yeah. So I watched um Kabushi fuck me.
Kabuki
Kabushiki
Gaisha?
Gaisha
Kabuki Gaisha,
Magilumiere.
yeah. Yeah.
also known as Magilumiere Magical Girls Incorporated.
Yes.
This is one of the many JC Staff productions
Yes. One of
of
the
the
ones that I'm
season.
hoping isn't fucked up by the 50 other JC staff adaptations.
Yeah. So luckily, this is also co-produced by Studio Moe, which is I guess a 3D CG sort of studio, like assistant studio. They worked on stuff like Mashley. Um, they did what was it? The Revue Starlight movie.
Did they do it says Studio Drive, right?
No, it's Studio Moe.
Oh. No, Studio Moe. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Um, they're also working on the upcoming Virgin Punk project. That's
Oh.
made a bit of social media hubbub. Yeah, they're doing the CG. I guess JC Staff is doing the 2D animation. So thank God we are not cursed with JC Staff CG in this series. Because JC
Yeah.
Staff can't fucking do that shit to save their
Yeah.
lives. So, yeah, this is a Magical Girl series, if you couldn't tell. And the basic premise is, the world is sort of inhabited by these beings that sort of pop up out of nowhere. They call them Kai, and they can take on, a bunch of weird forms, from big scary monsters to just slime things. But the best way to deal with them is with magical girls, and because of that, the magical girl industry was created, and it's quite booming, especially in Japan. And there's many magical girl companies. Um, and the way the series treats them is kind of like, I guess, kind of like a mix between uh, like an idol company, like an agency almost, and like an exterminator, right?
Mhm.
Kind of funny. And the series
It's like
follows
one of those series where they make the monster extermination, like kaiju extermination, into a standard job kind of thing,
yeah,
right?
yeah, um, yeah. It's kind of just like a normal part of life.
Mhm.
But yeah, the series follows a pretty, um, I guess you could say, uh, budget company, which is Magilumiere. They have, uh, well, at the start of the series, they have only one magical girl, um, until our main character, Kana Sakuragi, in her search, in her sort of job hunting search, stumbles upon, um, helping out the magical girl and sort of getting hired. Um, and then from there, it kind of just does pretty typical sort of monster of the week stuff as she sort of gets used to being a magical girl. Um, you know, sort of
What's the
delving
tone of
into
this?
like what.
Is this like comedic tone? What is it?
It's pretty comedic. Yeah, it's mostly comedy with a bit of um, character introspection here and there.
Okay.
There's a little bit of conflict with, I mean, obviously the monsters, but I think the main sort of, I guess, like consistent conflict is with the sort of larger corporation. Um, I think they call themselves AST or something, and
Yeah.
they're like a big mega conglomerate for magical girls, and they're sort of set up as like, like the heartless company that doesn't really give a shit about its employees. Like the magical girls are just like whatever contract workers, they don't even care. Like they'll fire them. Um, they're not making enough profit, and they don't really care that much about like collateral damage for like the magic and stuff because this world has like, oh, if your house gets destroyed by like fucking Kai or magic, you could just claim it in insurance, right? So that they don't really give a shit. So there's sort of the overarching like, damn, these guys are no good, right?
Mm.
But yeah, it's a pretty standard sort of monster of the week thing where the main character who's a bit of a not very confident in herself. She's plain Jane, whatever. The only thing she
Yeah.
has going for her is her she has like a photographic memory. Um,
Oh, okay.
yeah, and
How
then
does
they
that come?
use that.
How does that used in the story?
So the initial setup is she's job hunting, right? And
Yep.
they sort of use the photographic memory stuff for a gag where like every interview she's going to, she's doing like copious amounts of research to sort of get into the interviewer's good graces.
Mhm.
She's looking up articles about, stuff the company's doing or, you know, projects and stuff like that. Um, and then when she needs to help out the other magical girl, um, Hitomi, she needs to like operate this piece of software that like, normally somebody wouldn't be familiar with, but like in one of her previous job applications, she ended up like looking up how to, use this software, and her memory was able to sort of keep her calm under like pressure. Um,
Okay.
yeah, and then they've used it also like in one of the battles where um they're sort of exterminating like an infestation kind of thing. Um
Mhm.
and they're trying to do a spell where like they shoot like a magical beam into like the sewers, right? In order to
Okay.
sort of clear out infestation. And uh the sort of like guy in the chair is like, like, do you remember seeing like a manhole that's like slightly wider than any of the others? And she has to like sort of sift through her memory to sort of
Okay.
remember if she saw one. So there's some cute stuff like that. Um, her learning how to like ride the broom. She doesn't really like train to do it. She just reads a shitload of books. Um,
Oh,
and like
okay.
yeah,
So
like just
it
memorizes
comes up
like
quite a decent amount then, which
yeah,
is
yeah,
interesting.
quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's pretty cute. Um, but yeah.
I I
Um,
also have a question about slightly relating to this, but it's like so obviously as you said, like part of the implied subplot is that she is trying to be um sort of a quote unquote better magical girl every day, right? She's trying to get used to this shit.
yeah.
Um how much general character progression what's the pace of character progression in terms of like the underlying character progression throughout the episodes?
Um, I mean, it's a pretty casual pace.
Okay.
It's not really like super in depth or super introspective. Like the initial sort of, again, like her initial motivation is just like getting a job, right? Um,
Hmm.
and then when she gets the job, uh, there's a scene where she gets her first paycheck, right? Like after like killing her first, Kai or whatever.
Hmm.
And she gets a bonus, right? Because I guess in this world, magical girls earn like a commission for everything
Yeah,
they
yeah.
they sort of take out, right? Um, and then as she's holding this sort of envelope with the money, she's like, you know, like not only is this like a lot of money, but like this like the money like feels heavy due to like the weight of responsibility of the job, right? Um, and sort of as the series goes on, she sort of realizes the I guess impact that a magical girl has on like the lives of the people around like Japan, like the people that they save, and how important it is to, actually be, you know, a role model and like, somebody that's, worth looking up to as opposed to it just being a job, right?
Mhm.
Um, so it's an interesting sort of progression. Like it sort of becomes like just a standard job to her to more of like, huh, like there's actually like meaning behind this, you know? Like there's
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
yeah. So there's that. Um, but again, it's mostly sort of a Monster of the Week comedy series. A lot of it's about, you know, the character interactions, sub characters, which are all really fun. Um, again, I think, in my opinion, or at least for me, the most like I think Hitomi, the other magical girl, the Gyaru
Mhm.
girl, carries this
Right.
series really hard. Um,
Yeah, I was about to
It's
ask, like,
gonna be
what was
exceptionally
yeah.
uncontroversial.
yeah.
Yeah, I was just about to ask what was the extent of sort of how the cast interacts with the main character, because it's like there are series where it's like you have the magical girl or like the journey kind of or episodic monster beating series, and it's a lot of the focus just on the main character doing his or her own stuff, right? And then you have other series where it's a lot more just them based around them talking with the other cast members, right? So I was
Yeah,
just wondering
it's
which.
yeah, it's definitely more focused on sort of the, like so the way it sort of progresses is the Hitomi sort of takes Kana under her wing, and in doing so,
Okay.
like sort of like the whole like company staff sort of helps um they create sort of like this support like safety net for her, to, you know,
Yeah,
help
this like
guide her.
mentor network. Yeah,
Yeah, like
exactly.
to help guide her along the path of like being a magical girl. It's all very
Mm.
it's done very well in my opinion. um Again, you have Hitomi, who's like this sort of, you know, senpai. She's like this really like gung-ho Gyaru. Apparently she, you know, the way she uses magic is like super unconventional. um
Mhm.
you know, she's like super carefree, but you know, she still has like a heart of gold. Like she's a really really good character. I like her a lot. I think she's
Mhm.
like if she wasn't in this show, this shit would be mega forgettable. um like it would still be good, but it would be like, yeah, whatever, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But I
exactly.
think her alone like legit elevates this show like to a pretty high degree. Um,
Okay.
and then you have like the CEO, the boss, who's like this sort of they haven't really gone into him too much yet. They sort of teased his sort of backstory, but basically his initial setup is that like he's pretty much just like a die-hard magical girl fan, to the point where he literally cross dresses as a magical girl like constantly. Um, and like his whole thing is about, you know, living up to the best ideals of what a magical girl should be. Um, he's pretty cool. Then you have like the guy in the chair dude, who's like a super like otaku, like magical girl otaku. Um, you know, he constantly like fanboys and drools about, you know, magical girl outfits and costumes and, you know, stuff like that.
Okay.
Like he's always also like the guy who works on um like programming the spells and shit too, because in this world spells are like
Oh, what?
yeah, in this world spells are like computer programs that basically they cast with it's really cool actually. So
I actually like this. So what is it?
yeah,
What's
so I was gonna get a bit into it more in the audiovisual side, but so when they're casting spells, they don't like say like and it like fireball or whatever, right?
Mhm.
They literally like read off almost like file names, right? And then
Oh,
they
they have
sort
it.
of
They load it. They load it.
yeah, they sort of
Yeah.
add like modifiers like a radius modifier or like
Okay. 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 Okay.
yeah, like it's very um
It's
like
protocol modernized,
it's
right?
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
clinical almost, right? It's
Yeah. Yeah.
like a file that you're reading out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
pretty
Like
fun.
a
And then
script or something. Yeah.
yeah, and then the visual effects are sort of like the typical like magical seal that pops up, but it's all
Uh
like
huh.
it's all like digital, right?
Yeah.
Um,
It's like a Digimon kind of
yeah,
evolution
it's really
sequence
cool.
almost.
It's a
Yeah.
really cool spin on the magic stuff, right? Plus the brooms that
Yeah.
they're riding on are like they're like jets, right? Like they're like a mechanical sort of jet thing.
Is it like
Um,
Izeta kind of jets, like jet brooms, or what?
um, they're I mean, they kind of just look like big. They kind of look like big vacuum cleaners with like a jet engine on the back. They're pretty funny looking, but yeah, it's all very very techy. It's cool. But then you have uh, Kaide, who's just like the only like a normal guy in like the whole company, and he just does sales. Yeah. And yeah, the characters are all really fun. They're all quite colorful. It helps that the voice cast is really really good in my opinion. Kana is done by Fido's Eye, who's
Okay.
she's doing a bit more of a uh, I don't really want to say boring, but it's a very subdued sort of performance, right? She's very,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, she's still kind of the character is still, sort of coming out of her shell, right?
Right.
But she does a good job. Hitomi is done by Yumiri Hanamori, who pretty not a super like big name, but
She's
she's
been pretty
done.
prolific in the recent years,
Yeah,
though. Yeah,
recently
for
she's
sure.
done Nadeshiko from Yuta Camp. She voices Hoshino from Blue Archive.
Yep, yep,
Um,
yep.
she's Captain Nemo from FGO, and she was Akira from Yofukashi no Uta.
Yeah, she
She
definitely
does,
They
pops up more than people expect.
yeah,
this is a pretty more well, not standout, but this is not typically like the casting she feel,
no,
at least
definitely not.
recently too. Like the only other one I can think of would probably be Eizouken, right, with Domeki as like the full, as a much more like huskier, like raspier voice, right? But even then, like
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
like
yeah.
this, I
she
thought
did
this was
she did something a little bit similar in her breakout role, which was way back in fucking Jesus, like 20. What was this? 2015 with Rolling Girls. But yeah,
Oh my
it's been
God, that's such
yeah,
a
I
that's
thought
such a
this was
throwback.
like
it's been a while. So
Sasahara Sasahara for
yeah,
a bit when she was first speaking.
Oh, okay, okay.
but yeah,
Yeah,
she
yeah.
Just
does.
referencing back to her like Tabo voice from
Yeah,
Hosobo
she does
Tabo.
a really really good job. Again, in my opinion, she carries the show. She's super super charismatic. She does the role really really well. Um, and then you have the CEO, who's voiced by Rikiya Koyama, who is famously Emiya Kiritsugu. Um, he's also what's his name? From Ippo, the guy that fights the bear. Um, and what was the other big role he's done? But yeah, he's basically doing his standard sort of, like monotone, like just deep voice, which is I feel like he doesn't do comedic roles very often. Outside of like
Got kind of
random,
pigeonholed into a lot of the
yeah,
serious roles.
outside of
Yeah.
like random, like Pop Team Epic fucking, meme shit, right?
Mhm.
But he does a pretty good job. He's definitely like he's definitely a sort of it's like a monotone comedy thing, right? Where like
Yeah.
he's just completely straight faced talking about like the charms of long ribbons versus short ribbons, and like a magical girl's outfit. It's quite good. Um, and then the otaku dude's done by Daiki Yamashita. Um, you know, pretty standard, right? Um,
Mm.
and then there's a handful of other supporting cast stuff that the voice cast is all very very good. As for the other staff, I think the only other sort of interesting notes is the director. This is their pretty sure their directorial debut. The only other credit they have on Mal at least is for background art on Spy Family season 2. So someone's
Okay.
got connections for sure to go from that to directing. But um, yeah. Moving on to audiovisuals. Again, this is JC staff. They're doing a lot of shit this season, and it kind of shows with this. This is probably one of their more forgotten ones this season, at least ones that not getting quite as much money. But I will say the audiovisuals are pretty good. still. The action is done quite well. Again, I think it really helps that JC staff are not the ones doing the CG, and the CG is pretty much all of the Kai and all of the like actual magical effects. And the magical effects themselves look very good. I think they look really good. They take a little bit of getting used to because they're not really done in this style that you usually see CG done in anime. They're just a little bit different. But I think they look really, really good. Again, they're like a mix of sort of traditional magic effects and like this sort of digital holographic projection thing. I think they look really cool. The monsters themselves, they're not really
Are
super.
they 3D? Are they 3D
Yeah, they're
CGI mostly?
CG. They look pretty good. But their designs themselves aren't really that interesting. I think the most interesting design so far has been like the ice monster that showed up, which was basically just like a big spiky icicle that had a bunch of weird looking eyeballs on it. But otherwise, most of them have kind of just been like slimes, like slime monsters and stuff.
Hmm.
But they look pretty good. Um, as
You know,
for the
at least it's not at least it's not like those Overlord freaking
yeah,
CGI
yeah,
skeletons that
yeah.
were awful. Yeah.
Even when they look a little bit awkward, they're animated pretty well. So
Mm.
um, as for the music, it's kind of a mixed bag. It ranges from like royalty-free Kickstarter music to like actually pretty decent like immersive background music. None of it's really all that standout though. OPED, the OP is order made by Mafu Mafu.
Oh, okay.
I will say I think
Nice.
the song starts with really really bad autotune,
Oh
which
no.
is very unfortunate. But
Okay,
as it
you got my hopes up with Mafu Mafu, and then you're like,
yeah,
actually.
as it kicks in, it starts to sound almost like a Zack song, and
What? Okay.
it's interesting. It got me feeling a little nostalgic actually. I think overall the song is pretty good. It's just very unfortunate that the very beginning is just like not good auto tune. Um,
Uh-huh.
but overall the song is not bad. The OP's visuals are not good. They're
Damn
really
it.
not very good.
What do you
It's like
mean?
a lot of it is sort of this like they're flying on the brooms through the city, but the whole city is like CG. Um
Okay.
and it looks like a PS2 cinematic. It's not
God.
Yeah,
it's
it is
very
not blended CG.
yeah, it's
It's-
not good. It really kind of looks like the backgrounds from One Punch Man season 2.
It's
It's
slightly
Oh
better. To be fair,
no.
it is
I mean
slightly
Oh.
it
better.
has textures, but it's really not great. Um, but I do like the song. I do like the song.
It
The
also
ED,
interestingly has a dying frame rate in the beginning for some reason.
yeah, I don't
Which is
know
really
why,
unfortunate.
but the ED is workout by Shodu or Sudo, sorry. Um, I think it's kind of boring. I don't really like the song very much. The visuals are pretty standard. It's just like a sort of montage of still shots. Um, pretty like it's serviceable, but it's pretty boring. Um,
Mhm.
the one thing I do want to comment on, uh, because this is a Magical Girl series, is the transformation sequences, right?
You're right, exactly.
And these are pretty good. They're better than I was expecting. Um,
Are they also kind of like modernized, like as you said, kind of similar to how the spells are modernized, or no?
in a way, yes. So it's the the way they start the transformation is they have this sort of like an employee ID badge, like you'd wear around your neck, right? And they hold out their ID badge and they say log in or whatever, right? And then the transformation starts.
Oh, okay,
And
that's nice. Okay.
yeah, it's kind of cute. The transformation sequences themselves they're quite good in my opinion. They're definitely like very heavily calling back to Sailor Moon, in the
Mm,
sense that like the initial sort of transformation, when the magical girl is supposed to be like effectively naked, right? Their
mm.
whole body is sort of like this silhouette with like stars and stuff in the middle. It's very Sailor Moon.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. I
And
get it. Where you
yeah, the sequence itself is very well animated, and are like surrounding the magical girl. It's this is like impossible to explain, but it is like VFX city. Like
Yeah, I
they're
see. That's pretty
putting
good. It's pretty
they're
good.
putting like every possible visual effect they have in the fucking computer onto the screen.
at the same
So
time.
much
They're
so
like
that
they're
the
like what
the
we have all of Adobe After Effects. We need
the
all of the
encoding
libraries. Yeah.
bitrate for the episodes that I have fucking tanked. Like it was like fucking a visual mess. But
Yeah, I
I think it
linked it.
looks
Yeah,
I
it's
think it looks
pretty
really
good.
cool. I really like
Yeah.
it a lot. Um, I've seen some people say it's like too busy, but I think that's like the charm of it. I think it looks fucking awesome.
Mm,
It's very like uh, it's very like computerized. It's very digital, right?
mhm.
And I also really really like how the costumes themselves are that like they're like a perfect blend between a typical magical girl series and almost like 7-Eleven work uniform. You know what I mean? Um,
Okay.
it's very cool.
Oh yeah, because they are workers at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're employees, right? Um,
Yeah.
they're really cool sequences in my opinion.
Okay, 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 okay.
So yeah, audio visuals are definitely a lot better than I was expecting, especially from the fact that JC staff is doing like a lot of shit. Again, I think it really helps that Studio Moe, the sort of 3D CG studio, is definitely taking off some of that workload. Um,
Mhm.
Hopefully, JC staff learns from this and maybe never attempts CG ever again, but probably not. Um, you know, um, but yeah. I mean, overall, I think
Okay.
that's about it, right? I like the
Mhm.
show a lot. I really like
Do
this
you think
show.
can I ask you real quick? Do, do you think this is is in your prediction, is the ending more likely going to be a couple of episodes like some, dramatic kind of mini arc happening that affects the life of or affects, yeah, I guess the cast plus the heroine? Or is it just going to be the same sort of general monster of the day or monster of the week kind of thing, and to kind of just run off into the sunset?
So I have a feeling that, and this is just pure guessing from
Hmm.
the 5 episodes that are out right now. Um, the general arc that this is probably going to end on is there's this other magical girl that works for the sort of mega corporation, right? And she's popped up a couple times now, and she's like a purple haired, like she's in this like maid outfit, um, and she's very sort of like a cold, sort of like just it's just a job, just doing my job kind of thing.
Hmm.
She's popped up a few times. She's stolen kills. She's sort of, you know, seen, Hitomi and Kana's magic and sort of been a little bit awed by it. And I'm guessing, the general arc that this is going to end on is some sort of conflict with the mega corporation that sort of ends with this other magical girl sort of seeing the error of treating magical girl as just a job and sort of um coming over to like viewing it as more of a good deed kind of thing, like being a hero, right? And then they'll ride off into the sunset, right? It's worth noting that the manga that this is adapted from what I can tell, has not ended yet. Um, so it's not like they can really, uh, you know, adapt like all of this. But yeah, I'm assuming there will be some sort of arc involving the mega corporation that ends with them being like, yeah, and then we all made up, right? It's probably not going to be super consequential, just due to the nature of the series, but that's how I'm sort of seeing it going. It'll
Okay.
probably end up fine. Um, you know, but yeah,
Yeah. This like it's sort of like setup, not setup, but like the setting and like the way this like everything is sort of like digitized. Just reminds, honestly, it actually reminds me of Digimon, like
yeah, yeah.
like the good old like Digimon has. I like it. God damn it.
And it's
But yeah,
really, it's also really nice to just like, I said this in the previews. It's nice to have a Magical Girl series that's not like, oh, being a magical girl is just so dark and painful and it's filled with so much
it's Cube.
suffering.
It's like secret. Yeah, it's like
Yeah, it's
you
just
don't
like,
know half of the real magical girl secrets. It's like, brother, come on.
yeah, like
Yeah, I
when,
was gonna say even the mega corporation is really not like tonally like, oh
yeah,
my
they're not
god.
like,
It's a
they're
lot
not
like
like,
realism of like a realist operating it essentially, and looking on the small company and being like, it's nice that there is like an idealist out there that I have history
yeah,
with.
um, yeah, it's not like, and even like the evil, like the quote unquote like evil corporation CEO, he's not like, ugh, fucking magical girls. They're just a tool for me to make more money. It's like, he's just like, I'm running a business. I want to be as
Yeah,
efficient as possible, right? And if the magical girls I'm hiring aren't making me money, then I'm gonna fire them, right?
yeah, exactly,
And
exactly.
he's sort of just like the by the numbers dude. He's not like fucking literally like sacrificing children in order to make more money, right?
Yeah,
Right,
at
like
the end of
he's
the day,
just
it's just like a company, yeah.
yeah, it's just all about the profit margin, right? But yeah, it's very refreshing to get a Magical Girl series that's just like it just likes magical girls. You know what I mean? Like it just it enjoys the genre that it's in. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, which is unfortunately rare these days for the magical girl genre, and I hope it's sort of I do hope like the recent trend so far with magical girl series has been that it's a bit more of a celebration of the genre. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
and
and
it's
it's and
a lot
it
of
yeah,
creators and authors these days are not attempting to deconstruct the genre and strip it down to its core components and try to make some sort of social commentary. It's like like you can just make a series about girls shooting laser beams at monsters, man. Like it's not that. It doesn't have to
yeah,
be all that.
it's just too many. How do I say this? Yeah, as you said, it's just like too many authors are trying to act like they're being so clever, except they are literally they're no better than the isekai, Naruto, kind of those high fantasy, power fantasy people, because at least those people kind of know what they're doing and they're just kind of all bandwagoning on it, right? And they're just like, ah, slop, 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 right? But these magical girl writers are oftentimes kind of smelling their own farts and they're like, yes, yes, I am the one writing this unique series. And it's just like, no, you're not. You're just doing the same old, tired, oh, like, do you know about the true gory secret behind magical girls? Oh my god, magical
Yeah,
girls are so there's such a fucking dark and disturbing world, and you're actually drawing on secret eldritch powers that actually suck happiness and your soul out. And Cubate, don't trust him. It's like just look, you don't need to be always like this to even if you want to make a deeper series, right? You don't need to make things like that necessarily, right? It can
yeah,
just like there are plenty of literary there's plenty of literature out there, right? That doesn't rely on sudden depressing sadness to have a big story, right? Like you can have a Jonathan Livingston Seagull kind of story, and it can be happier or it can be kind of chill and mellow, and still be a good series, right? A deep or a deep like piece of literature, right? And I think people have not delved into the sort of Precure type, I want to say, of Magical Girl series because obviously Precure is big, but also because they think, oh, that's just for children. Being happy is for children.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
fucking suckers. And they haven't really delved in and tried to mess with that sort of setting more, which is really what um good literary I think writers are supposed to do these days, right? You're not it's almost like being an observational comic, right? You're not trying to just do the same jokes. You're trying to take something that seems ordinary, right? Seems something that seems regular and create something unique just like out of it. You're not there to just be like, yeah, has anybody heard this joke? What? It's like, I can't believe these evil magical girls. It's not a fucking Seinfeld skit. You know what I mean? It's not.
Yeah, also like you don't need to
Yeah.
make something that's like deep or dark or, uh
Yeah.
like tragic or whatever to be moving, right? To be
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Exactly.
emotionally
Yeah.
powerful. Like this
Regular everyday,
series,
you could have stuff that in regular everyday life that's moving, but that's not super like, oh, everybody in my family caught cancer. It's like,
yeah, like this
yeah.
series, Magilumiere, right? There's a scene in episode 4, right? Like
Mhm.
the sort of bit I was talking about before, right, where they have to shoot the sort of laser beam into the sewer, right? Um,
Yes, yes, yes.
and the reason they're doing that is because, uh, you know, um, there's like the infestation, right? And
Mhm.
uh, kind of initially is like, why don't we just cast like a wide range spell and blast all of the monsters, right? And the
Mhm.
CEO is like, well, first I want you guys to like look around the town, right? And see what you can do. And as they're looking around the town, kind of realizes that like, it's a pretty old, sort of rundown part of town, right? And if they were to cast a wide range spell, like it would basically wipe out the neighborhood, like right, like the homes would be fucking destroyed, right? And like it's during the course of this, they cut to the people from the town who have evacuated and they're sort of taking shelter, and a lot of them are sort of lamenting like the idea of coming back to the town and everything being destroyed, right? And
Mhm.
so they come up with the sewer idea in order to wipe out the monsters while also not destroying the town, right? And so
Mhm.
when the people come back, they're super grateful, right? Like they're giving them all these gifts and stuff. Um, and there's this scene near the end of it where like this little girl comes up to Kana and gives her like a drawing, right? Like it's just
Oh,
like
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
like a
yeah.
children's drawing, right?
Yeah.
And she thanks them for saving her home, right? And
Mhm.
it was a really simple scene, but something about it like legitimately brought a tear to my eye. Like it was a really powerful scene. Um,
You know what
Wouldn't it be
that's
more
actually
powerful
kind
if a
of
boulder fell on her though?
yeah, I think it would be
yeah.
more
And
powerful
it
if the
was
girl died actually, and also all of her
because they're too
family
big. Yeah.
was eviscerated. Yeah, I think that would be more
She
deep
she dies,
and moving.
reincarnates into witch, and then the witch kills her family.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. But I mean, it kind of reminds me. I think that sort of development is actually what this series is kind of drawing from is actually then it's almost like the idol kind of stuff, right? Like whether it's 2D idol or 3D idol or whatever it is, right? It's that sort of like idol life and those sorts of like that the trappings of those sorts of story, right? Oh, I'm working hard, and then at the end, these fans come and they appreciate what I do, stuff like that. It's kind of like that, and they're kind of drawing from that, which is again, as you said, it's like a moving part of something that happens in real life as well, and you're using that as a proper kind of poignant poignant story moment, right?
Yeah,
So
I think it's also a sort of, to me it's kind of comparable to comic books almost, right? Where
yeah,
some of the most memorable and powerful moments in comic books are like Spider-Man just hanging out with like a
yeah,
cancer
the
patient,
simplicity.
right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah,
like he's not saving the universe. He's not, beating up, fucking Thanos or whatever, right? Like
yeah, yeah,
he's just swinging into the hospital to spend these like last moments with a dying child, right? Like
yeah,
like
yeah,
these are like really down to earth moments, right?
yeah.
And they're moving. Uh, and I
I
think,
think I think also a big point of that, and that's this is, in my opinion, something only very specifically, I think, something like a magical girl series or like a superhero series or like something is that usually as a standard has this like grandiose scale, something only those series can do, which is, again, what is the big contrast, right? The huge contrast is Superman, fighting enemies from freaking outer space and then coming back home to his, or previously to his family or to whoever, right? uh to Lois Lane and then being like, hey, like I'm just a dude, right?
yeah,
Or the infamous scene like in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? It's like everybody kind of sitting down for shawarmas or whatever, right?
yeah,
um and in this case, it's the same thing where it's like, oh, magical girls and fighting stuff and doing stuff, and then they come back home and it's just this quiet time, right? And that sort of contrast is something that is really only very viable in these sorts of like series, and that's a good thing to quote unquote abuse, I want to say, in a story sense. Like you
yeah.
should take that
It's a good tool
and
to use
make,
for sure.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it was just really a really good moment that I think elevated
Mhm.
um just the way I was looking at the show, right? Because before I was kind of like,
Yeah,
this is
for
kind of
sure.
like magical girl junk food, right? And then that happened, and I was
Yeah,
like, wow, this has like a lot of like genuine heart in it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good show in my opinion. But yeah.
All right. I guess any last words and any ratings or mal ratings?
Um. Well, right now this is sitting at a 6.9 on Mall, which I think is really
Doesn't
just,
Talker doesn't the Talker Isekai sit at the same rating, like
I
6.95 or something
don't
like that?
fucking
Yeah.
know, man.
Fucking
In my opinion,
probably.
this is just
Like,
like just completely undeservedly low.
Yeah.
I'd probably give this. So I'm kind of worried about like overrating this because like I really like this show, but I probably give this a 9. Like I think
Mm.
this show is really good. Um, I like it a lot. But yeah, um, I definitely recommend it. If like if you like Magical Girls series like at all, if you have any sort of history with the genre at all,
Mhm.
I there's no way I can't recommend this enough. Like I really like this show a lot. Um,
Mhm.
I I honestly think this might be one of the depending on how this pans out, like how consistent it stays, it might genuinely be contender of anime of the year for me. Like I really
Mhm.
like this show. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, again, thank you so much. I think this is one of the series that we definitely all look forward to, despite again JC staff and like the other ones kind of being busy with a billion other series, and we were kind of afraid that maybe it would run out of money or like it would be understaffed or whatever. But I'm really glad that it came out all fine. Especially, I believe this is a anime original, right? This is not
This is
a like
manga
manga.
original.
Oh, this is a manga original. Okay, so
Yeah.
yeah, good source material, obviously, but also proper adaptation, especially again with like the transformations and everything. That was pretty cool. Um, I'm just glad that everything turned out okay with this series, and I definitely I think one of the series that we can recommend this season, right? Just like if you're going to watch one of the series this season, maybe check out this one. Obviously, along with something like Rama or whatever. But yeah, again. Here, thank you very much. And this is the name was Magilumiere Co. Limited, Company Limited, Kabushiki Gaisha Majilumie, also known in English as Magilumiere Magical Girls Incorporated. So this is a manga original. Became a now Studio Moe, JC staff co-produced anime adaptation this season. Please do check this out, especially if you have even an inkling of, if you like Magical Girl series even just a little bit, you might as well check the series out. So,
Nair. Who would
Yeah.
win in a fight?
I don't know.
0-1 or Magical Lumiere? Which company would win?
0-1 from what?
0-1. Kamen Rider 0-1.
Like
They're
the
both
common.
They're both companies, right?
I mean, I guess, yeah. I don't know. That's a good question. I feel like Kamen Rider might win. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
I'm
lie.
thinking 0-1 with his like. I mean, really, any of the
He's kind of
transformations. Like, he has
he's
a
kind of
nano
goaded.
machine transformation.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, but they're magic,
you,
right? And Kamen and 0-1
yeah,
can't
but
fly because they took away his only flying key.
I mean, 0-1 can
But
also like
a leap into
leap.
the sky turns into the rider kick. So
Yeah, and I think he could probably like rider kick their fucking heads off with how
true.
strong he
yeah.
is.
True.
So
But who would win,
Anyways,
but a company fight? 0-1 Naruto is just two people, right? They got. Oh, they're also two, right?
Wow, they're like 6, but yeah.
Hmm.
but yeah, anyways, I do want to move on. Thank you, Nier, very much for helping to cover this. And with that, we are going to now move on to the news. So, first, I'm gonna run through a couple of stuff. First, I honestly, I think this has been gone a little bit under the radar, in my opinion. But I think this is a big a big news that I think hopefully doesn't go the wrong way. Sega filed a patent infringement lawsuit for injunctive relief against Japanese game developer Bank of Innovation, or BOI, on Monday, alleging that BOI violated 5 of Sega's patents. Sega is seeking 1 billion yen, or about 6.6 million US dollars, in damages. Sega alleged that BOI violates 5 Sega patents in 2 BOI games, namely Memento Mori and Genji Crypt Tract. So these are like gotcha games, essentially. Such game
Crypt
in
Track?
Japan.
Is that an
what
NFT
are
game?
the
Hold on. Where are we going with this?
crypto game?
Well, I mean,
Do they say
yeah.
what they infringed? Like what?
Yeah, so
In the
I'll
lawsuit,
get there.
probably.
I'll get there, yeah. So BOI said that it had attempted to negotiate with Sega prior to the filing of the lawsuit, but that both companies could not reach an agreement. BOI maintained that it did not violate the patents and that no matter the outcome of the lawsuit, it will continue to run Memento Mori. So the patents that Sega alleges BOI is violating relate to mechanics and user operation of so-called gotcha games. Common in smartphone games, blah blah blah. These, like, specifically some of the mechanics mentioned for the patents include the quote unquote fusing of items or characters acquired through gotcha and gotcha pity
Oh,
systems.
dude, that's so true. I forgot.
Yeah.
I forgot Sega invented
Uh,
those.
I forgot
My
Sega
bad.
invented
I,
gotchas.
Yeah,
I
Yeah, that's
fucking hate patent laws so much, dude.
this is
But
pretty shit.
I really hope that this doesn't go the wrong way, because even if, like, it is like obviously bullshit and like other games will pop up with pity systems and fusing items, which is clearly not a Sega thing, right?
Yeah.
Um I hope, because if this goes through and Sega gets the patent, it'll be such a fucking headache. And it'll be such a stupid lesson for the entire industry, not just the gotcha game industry, for literally just like gaming industry in general, because Sega will just have patent stupid ass patent somewhere sitting where they're like, yeah, we like invented the idea of making items stronger, or like, or just got. It's like, no, fuck off, fuck off, Sega. I hope this doesn't go through. Next couple of news on some like artist payment stuff that has been going downhill in recent times, or in recent weeks rather. First is manga author Nitohe, Virginia, announced on their Twitter account on Monday that the 19th compiled book volume of Otherworldly Isekai Nobu, also known as Isekai Nobu manga, the adaptation of Semiko Natsuya's light novel series of the same title, will not have any bonus features and will probably not even have cover art. The reason was yeah, I believe this is So the reason why it would be okay. The reason is because he is essentially not getting paid, I believe, by Kadokawa. Um, Tohei has been reposting several status posts about the issue of manga art authors not getting paid for drawing cover art for book volumes. I believe, some of the status posts Nitohei reposted were from other manga artists such as Morikawa George of George Morikawa of Hajime no Ippo and Owara Sumito of Eizouken. On one post, Morikawa stated that it would be best to listen to both sides of the argument. Nitohei reposted a series of Owara's status posts about his own experience of not getting paid for drawing cover arts. On Owara's last status post that Nitohei reposted, he stated that he has been directly approaching publishers and talked about the issue moving forward. So
Hey, that new law
apparently just
that's
like
probably coming up, or is it a new law in Japan? Is that active right
yeah.
now? Probably due to that, isn't it?
I believe it should. I think it was fall 2020. It might. It's either this like winter or it's next year winter, sometime like that. So, it's obvious again, this is the problem, right? It's like once you have these publishers, especially as the publishers get more powerful, as we discussed before, right? And stuff like the Sexy Tanaka, very unfortunate Sexy Tanaka-san incident and so on. We're just gonna have publishers being like, hey, sorry, fuck off. We're not gonna pay you yeah, because we're lazy or like we just kind of want to stiff you and you're not really gonna be able to do much about it, right? It's the same with say stuff like airlines or service providers or anything that becomes too big and they're just like fucking over people. Um, Obviously, on the Western Front, there's news where it's like SAG-AFTRA, the Screen Actors Guild, American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, labor union, and also Sunday that negotiations regarding the interactive media agreement with major video game publishers will continue after 3 days of scheduled talks did not resolve the ongoing dispute. So again, this was I believe we talked about an article related to this before, right? But it was we were just talking about SAG after fighting against the company's use of AI, right? And especially AI voices relating to like say voice actors and stuff like that. Um, uh, 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 unwittingly and without permission or using just AI voices from wherever and using that instead of proper voice actors and kind of fighting against that. So I hope again SAG after gets a proper negotiation done on terms favorable to them, and that the companies give in to these, workers' demands. And last, on this sort of front, Carver Corporation, the parent company of the Hololive Productions VTuber management company, received on Friday recommendations and guidance from the Japan Fair Trade Commission (JFTC) after it was found to be in violation of the Subcontract Act by having subcontractors make 243 revisions of VTuber videos without compensations. According to the GFTC, the company had commissioned 23 businesses, including 19 freelancers, to produce videos, illustrations, and other materials used in VTuber videos between April 2022 and December 2023, and had the businesses make a total of 243 revisions free of charge, even though the businesses were not responsible for the revisions. Additionally, when the company asked 29 businesses to reproduce videos, the company did not pay fees on time. The payment delay was long as 1 year and 7 months, and the late interest had amounted to a total of about 1.5 million yen, or around 7,500 US dollars. So obviously, again, not only were they kind of cheaping out on paying these people overall, looking at sort of like the interest costs and so on, but um, they were paying them very late, and in some cases, they started out by kind of, you know, they only really ended up paying because the FTC was on their tails, essentially, which is also illegal. It is straight up illegal to not pay people for proper man hours during, contracting work. So, um, it is a good thing that they got caught before this became a cancer too far. And I'm glad that at least Cover Corporation fixed it. I'm glad that the FTC caught them doing it, and I'm glad that at least now writers um, are all properly compensated. But obviously, companies doing this, and not at least Cover Corporation as well. It just should be noted, these are illegal, not just unethical. These are illegal actions. You guys, it's like if you guys are contracting people for specific man hours and work that requires man hours, you need to pay them. You need to pay them on
What?
time. So,
What?
The real
some
question is, who now who else was not out of yet? I remember a certain other
yeah.
company did not pay artists, and one of their employees had to pay them out of pocket so that they would get paid for it.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a lot of other stupid companies, and it's like
Who else
Cover
is
is not.
guilty? Why
Yeah,
they made Cover the martyr, and they're like, okay, we'll pay. But who else is guilty that we haven't
Cover
heard
is
of yet?
not the martyr. Okay, let's
Yeah,
not shift
I
blame
don't
for
know if you
Cover.
know. I don't
I
know if
They're
you
can't
know
fucking
the
believe
evil,
It's
definition
dude.
of a
not
They're evil.
martyr.
They're doing bad
I
things. Like,
can't believe
uh,
they called Cover out and made that an example out of them just
they're not.
before this freelance art this free what is it the freelance art law, what's it called,
Freezing
freelance act
pain.
came into place.
They're not really making. They just did. Cover Corp objectively did a bad thing. Like, let's just admit it straight up. They did a bad thing, and they got swatted, and they were big, so they got found out. That is the beginning, and that is the end of it. There's no need to excuse what they are doing. Um,
But who else is
so
doing it?
obviously,
Give
yeah,
me more. I
obviously
want to
there
hear
are
who
other
else is it.
companies doing it. Like, but it doesn't excuse Cover from doing it either. Like, it's not a thing. So, let's not excuse Cover from what they did, and obviously they are likely the tip of the iceberg. It is very obvious that they are the tip of the iceberg, but they just all need to be swatted down properly, and sooner rather than later. But yeah, let's
Who's next? I want to know who's next on the docket.
yeah. Um Next piece of news here. The Japanese government honored Ashita no Joe, manga creator Tatsuya Chiba on Friday with his prestigious Order of Culture award. Tetsuya is actually the first manga creator to receive the honor. That's actually pretty surprising. The order is awarded to those quote unquote who have made outstanding contributions in developing Japanese culture. So
Where's Akira
nice.
I'm
Toriyama? How dare you?
I'm actually surprised that the other, yeah, like the other author, especially, I'm surprised Takahashi Rumika hasn't received this yet,
She has
honestly.
other awards like
Yeah,
She's
she has like the purple medal or like the one of the
Yeah.
like the big citizen medals, right? If I remember correctly. It's like pretty. She has like one of the big medals, but I'm surprised it didn't get this one either. But yeah. Again, congratulations to him. Obviously, well deserved. You know, it's Astana Joe. So next piece of news here. The Content Overseas Distribution Association, or CODA, in Tokyo reported on Wednesday that the Miyagi Prefectural Police and the Tome Police Station arrested 3 men on Tuesday on suspicion of violating the Copyright Act for transcribing stories from films and other copyrighted works and posting them on a quote unquote spoiler site without permission. The arrested men include a 38-year-old company manager for Shibuya Award, a 33-year-old company employee from Shinjuku Award, and a 45-year-old part-time employee from Kodaira City. They transcribe detailed content, including the entire story, character names, alliance, and action scenes and developments of the 2023 live-action Godzilla Minus One film, one other film copyrighted by Toho, and the 2018 Overlord 3 Season 3 anime series, copyrighted by Kadokawa. So
Bro,
yeah. Uh,
imagine reading a movie. What's wrong with you?
yeah, exactly. First, don't be stupid like this. Second, don't read movies. It's stupid. Um, Third, I mean, like maybe if you really want the TLDR, that's like one thing, but like, why would you just read the entire movie? And third, I guess this is it's still funny to me because it's quite clear that all these are just like manual searches too. Still, like Japan still it's 2024 and Japan still has just like I don't know, like 15 government employees in a back room just rifling through Google, being like,
Yeah,
"Who's
like
pirating anime now?" Oh my god, these people. But yeah. So yeah, don't freaking do that. One last piece of news before actually second to last piece of news here. Anime studio Piro and South Korean animation studio Red Dog Culture House announced on Wednesday that they signed a business partnership in August to jointly produce and invest in projects targeted at the global market. Yeah, I mean, a lot of this is like, essentially before studios like Red Dog and others were essentially subcontractors, right? And now they're just becoming partnerships, and so they're just essentially making the flow of assets or the flow of like labor, available manpower, right, just easier between these companies. So it'll be interesting to see where more of these like studios go. Probably, I think as time goes on, more South Korean studios, more Malaysian studios, more Filipino studios. Maybe even a North Korean studio will secretly sneak in there, like what happened last time, right?
yeah.
Um, but I think more of these. We'll be seeing a couple more of these partnerships in the future. So, and then last piece of news here. This is a little bit sad piece of news, and I don't again usually cover. We stopped kind of covering people passing away, except for kind of major stuff. Kono Ryo has, or also known as Hiromi Kono. She It was revealed on her Twitter account on October 26th that she passed away suddenly on October 23rd of suspected gastrointestinal bleeding. Hono served as the art director on such anime as Mob Psycho 100, all 3 seasons, Space Dandy, both seasons, Carol on Tuesday, Rolling Girls, Devilman Crybaby, stuff like that. Had a bunch of background art experience. It's very obviously she was probably a significant contributor, right, to the wonderful visual style of again series like Mob Psycho 100, as well as the other series like Carol Tuesday, Rolling Girl, stuff like that. Um, it is very unfortunate that she passed away like this, and again, condolences to her friends and family. So, but yeah, with that through. Now we are going to move on to the shoutouts and callouts. Everybody here gets one shout out and one call out. you want to shout as something that you want to praise to the stars, 5 out of 5, any one person, place, or thing that you can think of. And call out is the exact opposite. 0 out of 5, rant, rave about, rage, thumbs down, most mixed opinion on Steam. Again, it can be any one person, place, or thing. And we start now with Near.
I feel like there's a lot of shit to call out in the past couple weeks. I'm gonna call out Capcom though.
Nice. Because of
Because
Monster Hunter? It's
I mean
wonderful.
Monster Hunter sucks. Monster Hunter runs like shit. I mean it barely even operates as a piece of software. It's kind of insane actually. But also just like that plus like the recent shit with Dragon's Dogma 2, which also ran like shit. Not only on PC but also on consoles too. Kind of makes you wonder like what the fuck's going on over there.
Yeah.
It's really weird because I don't know. Cause I get that like Monster Hunter Rise was not as good looking of a game. But it was still the RE engine, and it also ran on the Nintendo Switch. So it's like
I mean, hey,
I
there
don't
are also
know.
plenty of good-looking RE engine games that run great.
Yeah, I mean, but like I don't know. Is it just like the open world aspect? Because like Dragon's Dogma 2, Monster Hunter Rise. I mean,
Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe the engine just can't handle big open spaces or something. But either way, it's really frustrating to see.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. As for shoutouts, shout out the fact that I think was it Friday? Yesterday I think was the 70th anniversary of Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool, pretty pog.
And there was that announcement,
And
right? With
they
yes.
announced a new movie has been greenlit. By the same director that did Godzilla -1. And
Is it gonna
if
be
you
called
haven't
-2?
seen, it might just be called Godzilla Zero or Ray or whatever.
-1 0, then Godzilla 1. I get
True.
I get you.
But yeah, if you haven't seen Godzilla -1, you should because it's definitely one of the best movies come out in a long time, and it's pretty much it's definitely one of the best Godzilla movies of all time. It's really fucking good. It's a really really good movie. Probably like I don't know, man. It's just like the kind of like the realest Godzilla's ever been. Like just with the way they sort of have to, take him on in that movie. It's really fucking awesome. Really awesome movie. Definitely excited for what the director has planned for potential sequel. It might just be a complete fucking new movie as well. It might not even be a sequel, but they did sequel bait at the end. So, but yeah, very excited for that. And go watch Godzilla -1. It's really good. But yeah.
All right. Dark, what about you?
I guess just a general shout out to our lovely YouTube expert reactors, I've my YouTube feed blew up yet again with Dr. Mike videos, and so I went down the rabbit hole.
Nice.
Which
those
Mike?
are always fun. Yeah, he one of the ones the recent ones I watched was him reacting to Harry Potter injuries.
Nice, nice, nice.
Which
At least it's
yeah.
not Chubby Umu, where it's like, oh, this woman ate
This person ate
gas station beef
700
jerky. Yeah, exactly.
fucking gummies, and this is what happened. Actually, also ironically, one of the recent Dr. Mike videos was Dr. Mike grinding to masters in Overwatch 2.
Oh,
And it's
What the
like, good luck,
fuck?
Godspeed, my friend.
Shaved a few years off his life.
Yeah, he's like self-prescribing fucking blood pressure medication. Like, but yeah, those are fun. I hope he does more crossovers with Legal Eagle because they did a really long, a decent while ago, a really long of like the first episode of Law and Order, where like Dr. Mike covered the initial part of like a medical malpractice thing in Law and Order, and then obviously Legal then covered the second part, and they would just go like back and forth of like like breaking it down for each other, like what is real here, what is not, like played up, and that video is really fun. Yeah, and other than that, John Ferguson still at it with his head of the Royal Armories, showing us fun guns and video games. So just all around great stuff there.
What about your call out?
My call out's gonna be to Luce haters, and also the dummies that don't know what Lucifer means. Because I see Luce.
Short for Lucifer?
Yeah,
Dude.
Lucifer? It's
The
like
Vatican
man.
is the Antichrist.
Yeah, they literally
So-
go Luce for light, and then people go like Lucifer. They just
Yeah,
go Luce,
it's almost like
Lucifer.
it's almost like
Lucifer?
Lucifer was
the light,
angel of
the
light.
light bringer.
Yeah.
This is the light bringer. This
It's
is
almost
pop
like
culture.
they had the
This
same
is all
Latin
over
roots.
pop. Yeah, it's like this is all over pop culture, people. Like, for the love of God, you need to be a Catholic, nor do you. I mean, you definitely don't need to be a practicing Catholic. You don't need to be a Catholic at all to know it. But
Also, it's like even in the
as a
tweet, even in the
non-practicing
tweet, even in the tweet that was like initially announcing like Luce, it was like
yeah, it's Luce
it
for
literally
light.
said
yeah, it literally
Luce,
says for light.
like
light.
Italian / Latin for light, right? Like, yeah.
Now
yeah,
they
people don't know.
do you think the Satanists will fight back against this and release their own little dude called Ombra?
I mean, Satan as
The
as far as I
Satanist
know,
mascot.
as far as
Yeah,
I
I
know,
guess.
most Satanists, like even the ones that take shit seriously,
Keep
are either
quiet.
like.
Mostly, yeah.
I mean,
They also
the
don't
ones
really
that-
have
They
a
don't really take
collective,
anything secret, like or seriously.
I don't
It's
think
a
they
lot
have
of
a
like
big like SNS presence, like or social media presence.
for the most
So,
part.
I don't know,
and plus,
man.
for the most part, like if there's like a larger Satanist like gathering thing, it's literally just like edgier socialists, like or like labor workers and shit that are just a collective and doing charity work. Like there's really no large temple, as far as I understand.
Near,
that
do you
are
get my
doing
reference?
anything for that.
yeah.
for what? Calling him hombre? What do you mean?
Lucy and
Umber?
Ombra. You get my reference?
Do I don't think I do.
Like light and dark.
Yes. It's like Ebony and Ivory, but older.
Oh, I mean, I thought you said hombre. Like,
First of all, his name, yeah, Ombre.
It's like
yeah, I was like,
Hombre.
what do you
Spanish?
mean?
Yeah. Oh my god.
And if you
Yeah.
don't know, the Dark Knight Sparta's handguns are Luce and Ombra. Get it?
Yeah. It's like a
Is Umbra even like proper Latin for dark though?
It's a good question.
I think
I did not.
it
I mean
does
shadow.
have
Yeah,
words,
shadow
yeah,
rather.
yeah.
Yeah, because that's like for the eclipse. Yeah,
Yeah.
shadow. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you, Dark, for your shout out call out. What about you, Toast? Shout out call, please.
I don't know. Who's cool?
Doobie.
Shout out
Yeah,
to
that's actually pretty good.
what?
Yeah.
Who am I shouting
No,
out?
he said doobie, so I was like agreeing.
Doobie.
It's a good question.
Oh, you
Yeah.
mean the mysterious new VTuber
Yeah.
who
Yes.
who works as who outed herself as a Foley artist and
Yeah.
has a not Emmy award, but as an Emmy award
Yeah.
just because she didn't work in that one specific episode. Yeah, she's cool. She has an expensive 3D studio. Did you hear?
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
It's crazy how she built that just like before even debuting. That's crazy.
Yeah. Also, did you hear that Mint's new artist is pretty cool too? They're 3.0.
No,
I
I haven't
still
seen
regret
that.
not going to ASEN and missing both Ayami and Deerskin there. I could have seen them. I could have given her this cool snake hat
Wow.
headband. Why did I say hat? Oh well. I guess that's my shout out.
And you call
VTubers are
it?
cool, I guess.
What about your call out?
Uh, 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 what?
It's tough.
My call out?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been pretty cool this week.
Okay.
Nice.
If you don't want to, yeah, that's fine. If you don't want to do the call out.
I mean, I could call out that it was 70 degrees on Halloween and super windy. I
Oh
guess.
yeah, yeah. Weather has been going up and down here as well. It's just like one day it's like super cold, and other day it's just like, oh, okay,
Climate
I
change
guess
isn't real.
that's true,
It's only the first
bro.
time in 130 years of recorded history that Mount Fuji has not had snow on it by this time of the year. So,
And also,
obviously, it's completely normal.
I've also shared my pet conspiracy theory with at least a couple other people, but you know how again Japan is trying to create this like Asian NATO or whatever. I firmly believe that at least half the reason why Japan is pushing for that so hard under the new prime minister is not because of like the geopolitical alliance or whatever against other powers. It's because Japan is getting hit by 50 billion typhoons every
Yeah, they're
year
like,
now,
we need your
and
resources to protect us
yeah,
from the wrath of
please.
God.
Exactly. Literally Asian mythology, god power just like
Yeah.
coming in, like fuck you. They need the help. They need the money. But yeah, it's chaos. Ugh. But yeah.
Japan urges 200,000 people to evacuate due to heavy rain. Okay.
Yeah, it's actually very silly. Honestly, if you look at all the places that just in this past, I want to say 1 to 2 months ish of like tornado season, right? Or sorry, a typhoon season in Japan, maybe 2.5 months. Like all of the typhoons and earthquakes and stuff like that, they've covered pretty much every single part of Japan except for just like central Tokyo. Like even central Tokyo has gotten hit with like all the rain. It just hasn't gotten hit with like the full flooding and like just like chaos. But other than that, everywhere else has just gotten just waylaid by these typhoons. It's very silly. So, but yeah. Thank you very much. And I guess for me again, shout out. I guess again, I'm not much of a league. I don't really play League or even watch League too
What
much,
about
but again,
baseball league, Spire? Didn't you hear the
no, that's
Dodgers?
even less.
The
Yes,
Dodgers won.
saw it. I did see the I even saw a video of like all the people in Japan just like celebrating the Dodgers win or something like that. Like there was a huge crowd of people that like celebrated the
You
Dodgers
know
win just
why?
because of
Power
the
of
You know why?
VTubers,
VTubers.
Billion
dude.
Yeah.
dollar
You know
contract.
why
Yeah,
the
it's
Dodgers
because
won,
of
Spire?
actually the VTubers.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah, dude!
not because of Tani.
I
Yeah.
can't believe Gura singing, taking out to the ball game, actually won.
Yep. It
Yeah.
blessed them. 100 years
Yeah.
good luck.
Oh my gosh. But baseball folded 1,000 times. But I think
I heard Otani didn't even do much during the winning games. So I don't know.
maybe not. I don't know. I don't really watch baseball. But yeah, league. I watched League Worlds finals because T1. Although honestly, even before the StarCraft One days, I've never been a huge fan of T1 or SKT T1 just because they are sort of one of the big, I almost want to say evil empire esport monoliths that have always existed, and I've never been a huge fan of those sorts of teams. Just like I was never a big fan of like Evil Geniuses back when it was at its peak. But they won against Chinese team. Got to root for the Korean boys, I guess. That was nice. Faker doing all the winning things. That was cool. So shout outs to them, I guess. And callouts, which is the more serious part, at least for me here, is that callouts all the freaking publishers and companies and people who are trying to skimp out and not pay proper artists and professionals, their proper share of, the labor costs, right? Fucking pay the people that are making your art, please. Stop trying to skimp out.
Um,
um,
AI though.
Yeah, AI, just all the AI stuff.
Yeah.
What's actually really scary, honestly, even despite all this, is you know the AI platform, the AI like translation localization platform, Orange, right? Or Orange Studios, um, with their like digital AI localized manga
Yeah.
platform, which is
Yeah.
like Imaki or whatever it's called. Yeah,
Yeah.
they've been secretly pumping out more and more localized series, and that's troubling because
Of
later down the
course.
road we're gonna have like somebody being like, "Hey, a popular series, maybe we should like localize that and really kind of spread it to the masses." And then Imaki or Orange City all already have been like, "Oh, excuse me,
Yeah.
we already
We
AI
already have the
translated
rights
that,"
to
and
this. Yeah.
then all of the freaking mouth breathers on Twitter will be like, "Yeah,
I mean,
that was
it's
the
readable
best
enough.
thing."
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also not by the wokes, and it's like, bro, you guys are so stupid. God, just stop it. um,
You're just jealous,
but
Fire.
yeah, that's true. I apologize. But yeah, just call outs to those people. Just stop it. Just pay your artists proper dues instead of skipping out and trying to shift it to AI or trying to feed your CEOs even more gold bullions, and maybe things will be better in society. So yeah.
Fire,
That
Fire, what
was
about Squid
yeah.
Game? You don't like you hate Squid Game, didn't you?
Are you suggesting that we should put
What?
all the artists in a Squid Game format?
No, I'm talking
Where
about
is this going?
why didn't you shout out Squid Game too?
Oh, why didn't? Oh, you mean like the release or whatever, or the announcement rather? Um,
Don't you know
because
Squid
it's
Game
just a
put Korea
announcement.
on the map?
I don't.
Yeah, I don't think
I
that
don't
put
think
Korea
that's
on the
even
map.
true. Like,
Yeah, I don't. That is not true. I'm pretty sure.
obviously
But
BTS did. So
yeah,
I can't believe I can't make the Squid Game joke anymore. If
I think
Squid
you
Game was
mean
so good, why isn't there a Squid Game 2? Well, there's a Squid Game 2 now. Damn.
yeah. You're just gonna have sooner or later Toast is just gonna ask who's gonna win in a fight between Squid Game, BTS, and Bulldog Fire Noodles. who who really
Have
put
you
Korea
guys
on the
been
map?
seeing that new trend with bulldog noodles,
What is it?
like the real way of eating bulldog noodles or whatever?
What is that?
CEO,
What is?
the CEO of Bulldog Noodles showed off the, the real way to do it.
I'm afraid to ask
So
what
what's
that even is,
weirdos?
honestly.
it was like sweet corn and cheese on top of it, something like that.
Oh,
You
I know
microwave
where
it.
he's going with that. Yeah, it's like that sort of sweet corn and cheese kind of plus maybe sometimes mayo and stuff like that is a very like
Street
it's not
foodie.
a common Korean topping, but it's like one of those meme like, oh, I just want to make this like degenerate fucking dish. Like it's like
Hey man,
it's like the
she made a
it's like the
company out of
Korean
Bulldog
equivalent
Noodles,
of
so whatever.
how like Americans sometimes put just like say like bacon and then or bacon and like cheese and like some maybe sometimes like something like chives or something like that on top of stuff. Um
Just
it's
casually
like
putting a
that.
whole block of cheese and shit in a fucking
Yeah.
hot pot.
Eh,
Like,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah,
yummy.
yeah. It's like I was actually talking about this with my stylist or barbershop, whatever, the other day or about a week ago. It was like if you see a lot of dishes these days that are coming out on YouTube on like the East Asian Asia side, a lot of them have been westernized, not in terms of just, having Western ingredients, but including a lot of this like cream and cheese and stuff like that, right? And like just like stuff like meat, bacon bits or pork bits and stuff like that. And that's sort of this like westernization. And it's obviously gotten trendy not just because of the westernization culture hype kind of thing, but also because nobody really hates cheese, right? Well, at the end of the day, cheese and cream and the stuff is a value adder. People always like adding it in because people like the fattiness flavor of the cheese and the cream. So all these dishes now just people are like, "Oh, here's a new recipe. It's this traditional Asian recipe, but you put cheese on it and then you melt it in the microwave." And it's like, "Oh, okay." So it's essentially a continuation of that, I think, is what's happening with the bulldog fire noodle and the creamed corn or whatever the heck it is. So. But yeah, that was it for our shout outs and call outs. And thank you very much. We are getting halfway throughout the season, and we're going to do, I think, two more. Right. This is our second? This is our third, right? This is our third.
Is
Uh,
it?
yeah, this is our third. So this is
Oh.
our third episode. So we're
Oh
gonna
yeah.
have two more episodes in this one, and we're actually gonna need to plan out. We're gonna be having a proper schedule or rung up pretty quickly or at least by next episode, because we're gonna need to fit these two episodes. We're gonna need to have our preview show, obviously, and we're also gonna need to reserve an extra episode because we are doing our infamous end of the year awards show. So obviously look forward to those episodes as well. But as always, if you like what we do, we stream our podcast every other Saturday starting from 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over on twitch.tv/4player animecast. That's with a numeral 4, where we talk about the latest and greatest in Japanese animation media, anime, manga, light novels, visual novels, web novels, and so much more. You can check out our recordings here as well as on YouTube, whichever format you desire. We have different sections, highlights, whatever, and social media updates on Facebook for Horror Player Animecast, as well as on Twitter at 4PP Animecast. Again, we are planning on adding a Blue Sky account soon, I think. And then yeah, so check us out on our news and updates here. Check us out there. And as always, we'll see you next time.